This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Mason, you love clothes. I know that about you. You won't shut up about them. You're obnoxiously just vocal. It's a real burden on me.
That's true, but I can't wear this golden tuxedo all the time, can I?
Why would you, Mason? It can hardly protect you from sweating so much.
It's hot out.
It's hot out.
It melts.
Yeah, it does.
Gold's very pliable.
It is, especially because yours is a very close to a pure gold, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and I don't want to be trapped in my golden tuxedo like some sort of doomed king.
No, exactly.
I'd like some clothing that's more relaxed, you know?
And cheaper?
Yeah.
It's not your number one priority, but...
No, but it's good, isn't it?
Okay,
you know?
good.
Yeah.
Well, Mason, Mack Weldon, they believe in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. They do all sorts of clothing. They do socks and shirts that look good, that feel good. You can use them for going out, going to work, staying cool, not wearing a golden tux. All of these particular things. And the idea is that they're antimicrobial. What does that mean when it's a bloody at home?
Look, let me tell you one thing.
Yeah.
My golden tuxedo is extraordinarily microbial. It is like a swamp in here.
You got to take it through a car wash, don't you?
It's true, I do. And then I have to open little vents at the feet to get all the water out.
Oh, so it's including the shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Yeah, great.
But it means you can wear them. We've got summer coming up.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
But who knows with bloody Melbourne weather?
If you don't like the weather, bloody wait 5 minutes, mate.
Right. But anyway, it's good to just have shirt you can throw on.
Yeah.
And it just you don't stink.
Don't even worry about it. I'm wearing one right now.
Yeah, you feel good?
I feel great.
Yeah.
They're also, they want you to be comfortable. So if you don't like your first pair, if you wear it and you're like, this is not to my specifications, either sizing wise or you just don't like it, you can get the sizing right. They've got a whole lot of sizing charts. You've seen that's a very easy to use website. It's very versatile. They'll refund you and you'll keep it, no questions asked. That's it.
I love it. That's really good. Sorry, I briefly passed out. Once again, it's very hot in here and I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm wearing a metal suit. So it's
a drippy gold metal suit.
Yeah, don't be like me.
No.
Look, if anybody could take any lesson from this podcast, do not be like me.
Absolutely.
So shop Mack Weldon.
Correct.
I mean, do that. I do that.
You can
maybe do that part.
Sure. You can actually get 20% off, which is a bloody bargain and a half, mate. I know you don't get out of bed for 20% off. We've talked about this before.
I do.
For more than 20% off. Is that right?
No, I would.
20%. It's the perfect amount for you to get
Isn't
out of
it though?
bed
Yeah.
to buy a thing. Not that you need to, because you could use your phone. So if you use the promo code PLANET.
This went off the rails very quickly.
Boy, did it.
In many ways, it was me mentioning the golden tuxedo.
Yeah, it's kind of all spiraled from there, hasn't it? But if you go to mackweldon.com, you get 20% off. I love their t-shirts. That's just and underwear, actually. Those are my two things. You?
All right, bloody...
What, a man can't rave about a pair of jocks on a bloody podcast, Mason?
No, I guess that's true.
This is 2017.
No, you're right.
This isn't feudal Japan where they didn't do this.
You know what? Podcasts are about saying anything you feel. All right. We're changing the whole format of the show. It's just underpants talk now.
Great. On with the show.
Yeah.
Red hot comic book movie news, shooting up your butthole. The Weekly Planet.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. My name is James, also known as Mr. Sunday. With me, as always, my co-host, Nicholas Mason.
I'm here and we've got a guest too.
Unbelievable.
Isn't it, though?
That's fairly believable.
Yeah, we've had guests in the past.
We mentioned this last week briefly. We've got Adam Knox in from the Filthy Casuals podcast.
That's
comedian,
right.
chimp cop, man about town.
That's me. There's a voice to prove it.
He's done it.
Maybe one of you is doing a great impression. Mason, drink a glass of water while I talk.
Okay, here we go.
I'm a dumb idiot named Mason.
He tricked me. I was doing theatre of the mind. I was literally drinking as well, and I couldn't respond. You son of a bitch. He's good.
I like how you start your podcast by acting as though you've just taken a brief break, shorter than a week.
Right.
You started as though it's been a few seconds since you last spoke to everyone.
We're straight into it. We don't muck around here. Also, we already recorded the ad before this, so I guess we did in a way. Yeah.
Right.
But that's how I would have started it regardless. So you're not wrong. But so we got you here to talk about Star Wars games, but you've heard this show before, I presume, at some point.
I've heard bits and pieces around the
excellent.
traps.
You're aware it exists.
I'm a busy man.
Yeah, no, I understand.
No, absolutely. Should plug up top your podcast, Filthy Casuals, which is on the Planet Broadcasting.
On the Planet Broadcasting.
Plug it now, Knox.
Clearly an experienced podcaster who immediately gets a mouthful of ice before having to talk. Luckily, it melts quite quickly. It's about video games. It's on Planet Broadcasting. It's me and Tommy Dassel and Ben Vanel, who've both been on this show
that's
before,
right,
I think.
We've done it. We've done
We've
the
got
hat
'em all.
trick. Yep.
Yeah. So no, it's a great show. I listen to it literally every week. So
Oh, great.
I liken it to this, except video games and funnier. So
Oh, well, that's very nice and accurate.
great.
I
You
listen.
you have an on-air. Do people know about your on-air thing?
Oh yeah,
in here?
Mason's lady friend bought this.
Yeah, that's
for
right.
our
Currently
one-
not lit.
No,
Yeah, right. That's what I was going to say. That are we on air? I can't tell.
Well,
I have to plug it into my laptop, but this is also plugged in my laptop. I mean, I could put it
Yeah.
into the other USB.
it's a
port,
dangerous
but-
game to play. We don't want to
Well,
risk
my,
it. Yeah.
okay, fair enough.
Because if we switch it on, then maybe something else fails and then we're not on air, but we think we are on air because it's lit.
That
So
often
ironic.
I know, right?
Yeah. So how many times do things just not work? We were recording some video game stuff the other day for Caravan of Garbage, and it took us like 3 to 4 hours to record like 40 minutes of footage. It was insane. It's just me going, what the fuck is wrong with this? You use capture cards and stuff? Have you guys done a bit of that?
Computers are the worst fucking thing in the world. I hate them. Do you swear on your podcast?
No,
We never do.
You've committed the worst crime possible.
I had to clean out my computer the other day, which I've not done before. Just like spraying compressed air into it.
All right, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's dusty in Melbourne. I don't know if people know this, but Melbourne is a dustier city than most.
I've never done that. I should really
Did
do
you
that.
know this?
No.
Because we get all the outback dust.
Oh, it's their fault.
Yeah, their fault. All those outback
Well,
people.
we have
Throwing handfuls
yeah.
of dust into the wind.
We have very strong dust laws in Melbourne, but surrounding states have very lax dust laws,
Yeah,
so they can
it's-
just bring it in.
bunch of cowboys up there. That's why cowboys are always. It's clean streets
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
cowboys come in, and then the second a sheriff comes into town, dust everywhere.
Wow.
Horses.
Yeah.
And it's
And that's why allergies are madness. It's allergy season.
Yeah,
it's out of
I've
control.
got awful allergies.
Yeah, my kid's got some allergies as well. I get
Oh.
hay fever. It's a bloody nightmare.
Anyway,
What about you, Mason?
No, I'm fine all the time.
Shut up. You're not a true Melburnian. It's
true.
Son of a bitch. All right, let's talk news. Fox are apparently going to sell off some TV and film assets to focus more on news and sports.
What are you implying with that inaudible?
that's nice that they're going to
expression.
start covering the news.
Got him. The idea is that Disney have approached them to buy a few properties, namely the X-Men and Fantastic Four, which would bring them into the
I
Marvel
knew they'd
fold,
always do this.
the MCU.
And surely they've approached them previously as well.
There's been rumors of talk and conversation and that like a Sony lending Spider-Man kind of situation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so the idea was that conversations had ceased, but apparently now they have not yet ceased, and it might happen or it might not.
Now seems like, particularly with X-Men, that like everyone involved with the current iteration of that is done in one way or another.
Like your
whether
Bryan
it be
Singers or-
as a director
Yeah.
or
Narratively or sex crimes is what
Yeah,
you're saying. Yeah, no,
exactly.
I understand. Yeah.
the two types of things that make you decide to end a franchise. But yeah, it seems like Hugh Jackman's done, right?
Oh, he's out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other side of this is, for me, I feel like these are just starting to get interesting at Fox. Like Deadpool, I like it. It's not great, but at least for me, at least it's not. But at least it's different. Logan again, I thought was great and was
Yeah.
different, and it feels like they're on a bit of a roll.
Yeah.
And now they're like, and now
we
we'll
had
sell
we
it?
had Legion, the TV
Yeah,
series, which
Legion,
was great.
exactly,
And
yeah.
oftentimes when Disney acquires something, they'll just cancel. You know, they'll just cancel everything and go, okay, clean slate. We're going to do
Yeah.
new X-Men properties, and so this could mean no season 2 of Legion. It could,
I would love to see a new X-Men TV show, an X-Men Netflix thing would
Yeah,
be
right.
would be great.
They're doing Gifted. Is that started?
Oh, The
I think it's
Gifted on
started.
Fox, yeah. Mhm.
What is
haven't
that?
watched
I
it.
haven't even
It's
heard
like-
of that.
Kids who they got powers, but they're
It's-
in a
it's-
school.
Oh, really? Are you smarter than a mutant third grader?
That's right. Yeah, it's one of those, as Mason talks about. It's like, how do I harness my powers? How do I just want to be
Yeah.
a normal kid.
Oh, it's like a metaphor. It's
Yeah.
like I've got heavy hands. That's my mental power.
Yeah. So it's sort of, I haven't watched it yet, but it's sort of generic-ish.
I've heard
Right.
some decent-ish things about it, but not enough that I'd go, shit, I need to drop everything and go and watch this.
There's
Yeah.
been barely any TV shows. The only, to my mind, good I think from anybody comic book TV show has been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Really?
I really like that show.
You're well on board.
It did. Have you watched it? Have you?
We talked about it before. I've gone off it. Mason's come back to it a little bit. And
Was
really
this
enjoys
during
it.
like the first
Yes,
season of
yes.
it?
Or maybe at the start of the second, but yeah.
Yeah,
pretty
you
early
need to.
on.
It's one of those ones where it has
I
a really long sort of growth period.
Yeah, right.
And then it has little dips in it as well.
Sure.
But it's been the only one that tries to have like a consistent sort of acceleration of what it's doing and make the stakes bigger all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and it moves quickly. That's
Yes.
been the thing that's bothered me with all of, especially the Marvel ones. All of the Netflix shows have been so dragged.
I was about to
out.
ask you about that. So, yeah, that's definitely a problem for those where it's 13 episodes and it's like, wow, there's
And
a
it's
lot of...
six. It's six
Yeah.
worth. It's
Yeah,
dragged
absolutely
over.
it is, yeah.
So did you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from episode 1? Or
I
was it
had the
recommended
flu.
to you?
The best way to do it is to get a really bad flu and have 2 weeks where there's nothing to do.
Sorry, I'm just doing a bit of microphone pop. I'm doing some adjusting.
All right.
If only we had a camera in this incredible man cave, we could have seen. He leapt up like a man possessed and was.
Came over and adjusted them like javelins.
I think I might have moved yours up. Sorry. Can you move that a little bit closer? Yeah, perfect.
So anyway, you had a disease, and,
Yeah.
and you had no choice but to get onto a Marvel TV
I had
series.
to do something with
Yeah.
my time, and there was very little to do other than that. And that was a great way to do it, to be forced to watch
Yeah.
the
Right,
first
sure.
sort of.
And it's not going to
1.5
melt your
seasons.
mind like Legion, where it's just this. If you're in some kind of weird dream state, hallucination,
No.
flu nightmare.
It might melt it in the way of going like, oh god, something happened for a season or maybe season and a half.
Yeah.
But it ended up getting really good. But yeah, it's like Luke Cage especially, and I never ended up finishing Iron
Yeah, fair
Fist.
enough.
Neither did I.
Oh my god, just so.
And we got sponsored, and you still didn't finish it. It's so long though. And Defenders wasn't great. And
No,
and that
I
was
didn't
only
like
8, but it
Defenders.
still was like.
And Jessica Jones was my favorite one of
I
all
love
the.
Jessica
Yeah,
Jones,
and like the first 4 episodes of the second series
yeah,
of Daredevil. were
absolutely,
good.
I completely agree. Yeah,
But other
and
than
the Punisher
that,
looks good. I would
Which
say.
does?
Punisher. It's coming out this week.
oh, I like
Yeah.
what's his name, John Bernthal.
That's
yeah,
the one,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
as him. He was good in the Daredevil season, and I really like Wilson Fisk, whatever that Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, he's coming back for season 3.
Yeah,
so that's
he's
good, yeah.
and they've got some good people. It just like. It's weird the whole split between. I'm sure you've talked about it heaps between
Never.
like the cinematic universe
Yes.
and then everything that's not literally
Yeah.
the movies.
Because it's that whole TV movie divide is it's getting.
They
wider
tried
and
with
wider, yeah.
Agents of Shield towards the start.
I found
Yeah,
that some
there
of
was
the
even
worst
a
stuff.
cheeky Sam Jackson cameo.
Yeah,
in one
and
episode, I
that stuff I
think.
don't mind, but then I remember the episode where it's like, man, I can't believe Thor the Dark World just happened. Let's clean up this library.
Yeah,
you know?
it really was that.
Yeah.
And that stuff was a little ham-fit. But then they found, like, I like people saying the Sokovia Accords.
Yeah,
Sure,
pretty
exactly.
good, right?
Yeah,
You know?
there's absolutely ways to do it. And to be fair, I liked the twist that Ward was Hydra. And like there was stuff about it I really liked.
They found, like,
Yeah.
3 different twists to have Ward come back again and again and
Yeah.
again.
One, he's got a big bruise in his chest.
He, like, so he what does he do? So he's normal guy, Hydra guy. This is a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen the whole thing as well. Then he's Hydra guy, but Hydra hates him, and then he's chasing them down, but is worse than them. And then he's inhabited by an octopus, and then
Like a space octopus?
Yeah, sort of like Pirates of the Caribbean,
But not Hydra related. You would think an octopus would be very Hydra related, but no.
completely separate.
Oh, interesting.
He's from the comic. I forget it's Scourge or something like that. It's not Scourge. Famine, Raven, some word meaning bad.
Octopus boy.
Octopus boy, that's it.
Squiddly diddly.
Dr. Octopus.
Oh.
And then he died again, and then he was someone else again. Oh yeah, then they brought him back in the Matrix.
Oh,
and-
yeah, I'm aware of that. Right, yeah, uh-huh.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of people who are like, we really like this actor.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's stop making him die.
We heavily criticized for how boring he is. And they did something with him. Yeah.
He's-
He grew a beard at one point,
Yeah,
I
he grew a
think.
beard.
It is like a modern Buffy, that show,
Yeah.
where it keeps just challenging itself to go somewhere different, and I've actually enjoyed it.
The highest compliment a show can receive.
Yeah.
A piece of art, the modern day Buffy.
Not modern day anyone involved in Buffy,
No.
because again,
But on the Fox thing, what do you think that means for like R-rated properties like a Deadpool and a Logan if it goes to Disney? Do you think they're going to shut that down or they're going to do like a separate division? That's if any of this happens again, hypothetically.
I can imagine them getting real. I would love to see them do Deadpool with all the people they already have.
Yeah, right.
And him interacting with Robert Downey Jr. would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If they,
Do you think they're going to tone it down though? Like,
I
no
don't
effing
think
and
so.
jeffing?
The reception to the first one was so positive in
Yeah.
that direction that they'd be crazy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. As much as they have been bland with some stuff, when they figure out what people like about something, they're more than willing to give it to them.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok was the most sort of risky taking. And again, it's not that risky.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
But as far as they go.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you, see, Mason, what do you?
Yes, hello.
Listen, man. No, I feel like I don't. There's something that I.
So you may not know, at a certain point during every episode, James gets sick of the superhero movie industry and podcasting, but this is a new record. We're like 4 minutes in. He was just like, oh no.
I tend to have that effect on people when I'm around. They just get worn down very quickly.
Yeah, that summary of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It really took it out of me. But like, I'm not happy with everything Fox has been doing, but I also don't necessarily like the idea of a company like Disney owning everything. So, because I feel like having these different companies like your DC and your Marvel and then this kind of drives everybody forward through competition. Do you think there's a risk that could go away?
If any of the DC movies were good, I would believe that. But like, I don't think any of them are competing well enough with each other, right?
Yeah, no, sure, that's fair enough. Well, we can talk about Justice League reactions if
Please.
everybody's interested. Do you want to have a punt at that? Anybody? These are just the embargo's on Wednesday. But the Twitter reactions for certain film critics have been...
I think has it gone the same way I think that maybe Batman Superman went, which was the initial, like the super keen beans who went in moment one were like, this is amazing, this is the best movie ever made, and then further reactions been mixed. Is that what's happening?
I'm willing to bet the other way, where like, fool me 5 times. Shame on you.
No, people are saying generally that it's okay in terms of the characters, but the plot and the villain are really weak. Like the dialogue, and there's a bit of a weird mesh of like Zack Snyder's visual style and the Joss Whedon kind of like, well, hey, what are we all doing? Kind of thing. But you know how he is.
That's take 5, everyone. I got to cheat on my wife again.
Even in the trailers, that's been a little bit.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. You can see the color palette like shift over the course of the trailers.
I also heard that. Henry Cavill has a weird plasticky face.
I've got that exact tweet here.
He's the villain in Mission Impossible 6 and he grew a mustache for it.
Oh, okay.
And then they had to reshoot Justice League and Paramount refused to let him shave his mustache. So he had to do scenes as Superman with a mustache and they had to CGI it out.
Yeah.
Just always hiding behind a fence like Wilson.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
There's a lot of him holding his cape up and he's like, Blair.
So the tweet I've got here is this is the most negative tweet from it. Most of them are generally positive to mixed, I would say.
Right.
More on the positive end.
But if all of the other films have had very positive reactions and then come out and not be, if these ones are mixed,
but these
maybe
it's
it's
a bad
the worst
sign,
one.
yeah.
But these are more also film critics. That Batman Superman screening you were talking about was
Fans
hardcore
only.
DC fans that you had to go to the 10-minute IMAX showing 6 months prior to go to the thing. So yeah, so take that for what it is. I do think though there is something for getting things early and seeing moves early, and you go in and you meet the cast and everybody's you get photos. I think that can definitely sway person. Anyway,
Well, there was a Thor Ragnarok showing I think last week where the entire cast. It was for James Corden I think, and the entire cast showed up and did Thor Ragnarok as a play instead of the. So I think that would probably sway
totally,
you.
yeah.
Probably, these guys seem nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like that's definitely happened to me for certain things. Like at Blade Runner, they gave me like a full meal. So I was like,
Wow.
5 stars. Okay, so is that review though the one you're talking
Have
about?
you always been Knox? I mean, legally you have, but
yeah,
through school?
No, ever since I witnessed that murder, I've had to change my name to Knox.
Right, yeah.
No, yeah, it's always people have always called me Knox rather than Adam for some reason.
Yeah.
same.
People call me my last
People call
name.
you Knox as
Yeah,
well.
all the time. Yeah. I'm my own person, guys. Come on.
Nothing could. This is from Josh L. Dickey. Nothing could save Justice League from
All right, come on.
Loud, ugly,
It's
tacky
just his
self.
name, all right?
I was laughing at another thing.
Okay,
another
sure.
dick joke. Not Wonder Woman, not wide-eyed Ezra Miller, not Joss Whedon's quippy teardown and rebuild. And Henry Cavill's mustache is an actual issue. They gave him uncanny valley face. Oof, guys, it's a rough ride. So there you go.
So they CGI'd it off?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
they did. Well,
That's fucking crazy.
Isn't it though, right?
That's really, really weird.
that's-
It's so much easier to stick a mustache on.
On a
Oh, we
man,
know.
yeah.
this comes up a lot.
Yeah. And
We're
we're always
at the
curious
side,
as
yeah.
to whether it's just did they discuss the practicalities, or was it two lawyers that hate each other, like a Paramount lawyer and a DC lawyer who are like, we hate each other and we will litigate this for they're just it's just people who are unwilling to let things go,
I'll take fine though. Like, I'd be happy with a fun.
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's going to be fine to good.
Yeah.
So
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's a step in the right direction.
I guess a step in the right direction, because I really like all of the DC characters.
Yeah.
I think I would prefer a DC like set of movies. I think they have to kind of burn the whole thing to the ground at this point, though.
I don't disagree. Yeah,
let Disney buy it. Who cares?
Well, that did also nearly happen at one point.
If Disney becomes that monolithic that they own everything, then they can't meddle in everything because they'll have too much. If anything, they need to buy every single piece of it, of every creation that anybody's ever come up with, and then it'll be as though nobody owns it because they'll have a million kids running around.
Exactly, that's right.
A million kids. Imagine.
Yeah, exactly. You're a parent to one child.
Yeah.
Imagine having a million of them. You're a good dad now, I assume. I don't know.
I mean, he's not here. I don't know.
If you had a million, though, everyone would be a bad dad.
That's true. That's, I get your point.
Taika Waititi could do what he wanted to raise that child. That'd be fine.
Very true. Did lastly go Justice League. The reshoots that were meshing the two tones of the film ballooned the budget to $300 million. So it's a $300 million movie, which again, if this is true, explains why they cut the runtime to just under 2 hours as opposed to the 3 hours and 40 minutes that Batman v Superman went for. You get more bums in seats that way, so you're going to recoup your losses. But man, this has been, considering what this has been through, if this is fine, that's a win.
That's fucking crap that like 50 million of that is trying to take a man's mustache off as well.
And doing it poorly.
Maybe he is actually Superman and you can't shave the... I'm
sure it's heat vision in a mirror,
before.
Knox. It's heat vision in a mirror, right?
We've talked about it. Next bit of news. Black Adam could make his first appearance. That's The Rock's playing the villain of Shazam in Suicide Squad 2 in an extended cameo. He's the franchise
where he punches all their heads off because he's unkillable.
So tear Harley Quinn in half.
Only people who are good at climbing, he punches them.
Right.
That's the worst character that's ever been.
Yeah. I think that was the point. Like to be like, look how dumb he is and we kill him straight away. But it didn't really...
But even then, why is he on the team? We've discussed this ad nauseum.
Well, we just did a commentary on it,
It's a team who can ostensibly kill someone like Superman, and they've given him... And it's a guy who can shoot a grappling hook.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And a woman with a baseball bat and a crocodile man and a stealing sword.
But like a half a crocodile man.
Yeah,
he was
he could
so
come on.
laid back in that.
He should have been bigger, I feel. More
well,
crocodile.
He's like 12 feet tall and everything. Yeah.
In Arkham, you see him lumber past and it's like, ah!
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this makes sense to me.
Wait, I've completely lost the thread of what the news is.
Put the Rock.
I went on one of my own tangents. There we go.
You blacked out, mate.
Yeah, right.
It's over. No, Black Adam or The Rock in Suicide Squad 2.
Okay, right.
I mean, everyone will be on board for that, I assume.
I'm very interested to see how those more like wizardy characters fit in, because that was interesting in all the Marvel stuff, watching them start to go like, okay, maybe Doctor Strange. And people were like, okay.
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
So all of those ones that are a bit stranger, that'll be cool to see,
Absolutely.
I guess. But you know what? It probably won't.
And it's something that I guess DC has avoided for a time is... actually, no, they haven't. Now that I think about it, I was going to say it's the hero fights a villain that's the same version of himself. Man of Steel.
That was
he
the
fought.
very first.
Yeah, three. It's a long time ago, guys.
It was. It's been,
three versions of himself.
2014, 13? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman were kind of fighting the same version of each other a little bit.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
They're sort of the same thing. Strong boy.
Look, sometimes you just want to say words on a podcast so there isn't dead air, and that's what I was doing.
We got to pad this out.
Yeah.
People demand an hour and a half, and they'll get it. Also, Asher Angel will play Billy Batson, who's a kid actor who's been in Disney stuff with the kid Shazam. He seems, I don't know him, seems fine. Looks like a kid.
Cool.
Yeah. Which puts paid to my hope for this, and I knew they wouldn't do it, but my hope was that Billy Batson, who's the kid, and he says Shazam and he turns into the hero, that he was going to be like a burned out, like an adult at this point, because it's been 20 something years in this universe, that he'd be like I said, Macaulay Culkin, but anyone could work. You know,
that'd be great,
wouldn't it? Though,
get Macaulay Culkin in, and he can't do it. Whatever Shazam's kryptonite is, What's that?
Kicks.
Like, kicks?
No, I don't know. I genuinely other magic, strength.
It's saying Shazam again.
Right.
That's-
Well, he loses his powers and has to foil the villain by setting up a series of traps made from everyday objects.
Oh, yes.
That'd be great.
That would be good.
In his crackdown that he lives in.
yeah.
That'd be
Guys, he's
very
cleaned himself up.
DC
I saw a photo
universe.
of him the other day. He was wearing glasses.
Was he
He
wearing a
looked great.
t-shirt with Ryan Gosling on it?
Maybe, yeah.
Sometimes he is want to do, unless that's a Photoshop. Who cares?
I'm going to really get him. I'm going to Photoshop him wearing a t-shirt of Ryan Gosling. That's going to tear Macaulay Culkin down a peg. Make everyone's opinion of him less.
Because I remember, then I saw another one which was Ryan Gosling wearing a picture of Macaulay Culkin wearing a Ryan Gosling t-shirt, and I'm like, that cannot be.
Isn't it fun when
That's just
celebrities, they have a little,
I don't
they have a
think
little thing together?
That's
you know?
got to be a Photoshop, I assume. Maybe
No
Ryan
idea.
Gosling has a t-shirt guy.
You've got a t-shirt on with Kevin Smith's face.
I do. More bad news for the Dark Universe. Did you see The Mummy, the new one?
No, I
Really?
did not.
Well, that was the bad news. Adam Knox didn't see The Mummy. Sorry,
Another
Tom
ticket
Cruise. I know you
not
listen.
sold. Yeah.
I saw Tom Cruise falling out of another plane, and I literally remember seeing that trailer and going like, I can't. I'm not doing it again.
Well, even the spectacular, we talked about it in an episode, the spectacular Tom Cruise stunts aren't filmed in a way that look real. Because the greatest thing about him doing a thing is he looks like he's stuck to the side of a building crying.
yeah.
You know, if
the behind-the-scenes footage always looks great.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
But in the
yeah.
movie, it's like, oh, you take Henry Cavill's mustache off in real life, and you just sit at home and let them CGI that, you maniac.
Yeah, I know. Well, he did actually injure himself on the latest Mission Impossible. There's video of it. He tries to jump between buildings and he landed weird and limped off. And they,
Yeah, right.
they suspended it for
That's
6
pretty
months or
good to
whatever.
limp off from jumping between buildings and
and
messing
being
it
like
up.
57 or however
Yeah.
old he is. Yeah, he's crazy fit. That's what not drinking and aliens will get you though. So you
Yeah,
know.
maybe it's all true.
But no, Alex Kurtzman and Chris Morgan, who were spearheading the Dark Universe, have walked away. The expensive offices set up at the studio for the franchise are now
Spearheading's very generous.
Yeah, I know.
It's a
yeah.
very blunt spear.
driving into the ground. How about that? The expensive offices on the studio lot are now practically empty, and there's no new monster films with a concrete release date. So they did one at the very start of The Mummy. The big logo was Dark Universe. It was like the start of Marvel. It was like at the time we were both like, "Oh, that's very presumptuous."
Marvel took like 8 films until they felt like they could earn that long
Yeah.
crawl
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Yeah.
That it's so because they tried to do the same basic thing with that Dracula Untold, right?
Yeah.
Same franchise. Yeah.
And
yes.
wasn't it the same sort of cast
Yep.
of
Yep.
royalty-free characters that
Yep,
they were
that's-
going to
yeah,
do?
it sure
exactly
was.
what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they own the rights to the specific, like, popular 50s ones.
Right.
So those incarnations. But yeah,
Okay.
most of them are in public domain.
Yeah.
And there was a moment in The Mummy where it was like, it was their kind of like,
Oh, because this is where Russell Crowe showed up.
Yeah, he's Dr.
exactly
Jekyll,
right.
right.
Yeah, it was like their like hint towards, Infinity Stones in the future. They go through Russell Crowe's because like catacomb, whatever he lives in. He's like the Nick Fury because he's Jekyll, and there's like a Dracula skull and a tentacle from the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
And
right.
like we're supposed to look at that and go, oh shit, these
Yeah.
characters
The
that
Bride of Frankenstein's
Yeah.
beehive hairdo
Yeah.
with the streets just sitting there.
like
in a glass case.
how many vampire movies have there been? Like it's not like I don't see a vampire skull and go, oh my god, vampires.
People were sick of them in the 50s.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't understand. Surely that has to be one of the last attempts to make every single film into a huge
I
thing.
want to see one more.
I
Just
think
to
they
see-
will. I think
just to
they're gonna
see them
do small
desperately
budget.
shoehorn in everybody in the.
Yeah.
Just,
I would love to see a movie that had like a 20-minute plot
Yeah.
and then 80 minutes in the middle where they go through every possible character they could bring in and go like, and look, there's Spider-Man's boot and we've got like Hey Arnold's little fucking jersey and there's Big Ted from Play School. Just go through and name every single thing that maybe one day you could own.
I think that's going to be Steven Spielberg's movie, the Ready Player One.
Ready Player
It's just
One,
gonna
yeah.
be-
Oh god, that look right.
yeah. A lot of people are like really on board. I'm like,
And same.
yeah,
I did
look,
not.
it looks to me because I hate. There's t-shirt companies and they every day they have a new t-shirt and they're very heavily weighted towards it's a mashup between Doctor Who and Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Look,
What?
what if the DeLorean and the TARDIS were in the set? What would they do? And Ready Player One is that en masse. It's every
Yeah.
just what if
from someone who I don't believe has the first idea of what video games are about.
Yeah, right.
Beyond like Pac-Man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg made Boom Blocks, didn't he?
Yeah, he produced a video that was basically Tetris.
3D Tetris. I never played it, but yeah.
Well, because he's the one who has the famous quote of like, when I can get up to level 7 and it makes me cry, them video games are real art. And this is in like 2002. After like
right.
there had been plenty of stuff
Yeah.
that was so I don't know. It strikes every movie like. Do you remember Gamer with Dexter in it?
Oh, we remember
Yeah,
Gamer.
we remember Gamer,
That was in
yeah.
the era when we saw literally everything. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
we saw Gamer. Yeah.
Ugh.
I see. I don't with video games. I don't understand why people care whether Steven Spielberg or a film critic is like video games aren't art. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like what if you like him? It doesn't matter what Leonard Maltin thinks of video games. Who fucking cares?
Yeah, it's. I also don't
James,
think
we
that
can't swear on this.
Oh,
If you
sorry.
could-
Knox is bringing down the tone, mate.
Yeah.
poop.
No, well, come on, mate.
He's out of control.
Yeah, no, I agree that it shouldn't like it shouldn't bother you what other people think about things. Like the fact that I don't like DC stuff, I don't care if anybody does.
Yeah.
it's
A
they're
lot of
wrong,
people
but
love it. Yeah,
it's fine.
And that's fine. Yeah.
But yeah, like Ready Player One, from what I can tell, is just this. It's just an uncritical list of references.
Yeah.
It's just like, the character, wins a game because he knows the most about family ties. Like that's
Right.
that's the worst sitcom that's ever made. Surely that's one of the.
I don't think I've ever seen Family
Which one's Family
Ties.
Ties?
Family Ties had Michael J. Fox in it, and we all. It was.
He was like Little Reagan, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it was because you know how people are like, The Simpsons broke the mold for sitcoms, but it,
Right.
it really, stuck into the establishment. Family Ties was the establishment. It was just like there were
was
like
the man.
there were like
Everyone
25.
learns a lesson at the
Yeah,
end.
there were at the time there was like 25 sitcoms that were all exactly the same. The only difference was Family Ties. The kids were conservative and the parents were hippies. That was
Right.
the whole difference.
Can you
yeah, I know,
imagine
right?
such
Pretty
a
good.
world?
There
right?
would be some difference in opinion between those two groups of people, though.
That is true. Now
I
that
can
I think
can
about
see
it.
Not that
something
I've
coming
seen,
out
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Bring it back is what you're saying?
I'm saying bring back Family
Okay,
Ties.
fantastic.
Except the kids are alt-right.
Oh,
Hey? What do you reckon
Michael
about
J.
that?
Fox plays Pepe.
Yeah.
They've got the haircuts. I love it. All right. One more bit of news before we get into the other thing
Is
that's
it
happening.
Doctor Who's new costume?
Oh, yeah. Did you see that?
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
It's all right. Did you
Yeah,
see
it's
it?
nice.
It looks real forced to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, see, a lot of people, there's a lot of hot takes on it, obviously. And I saw an article and it was basically
Get ready for
like-
another one. Here
Yeah,
it is.
it was basically like, okay, so the boots are a nod to the 11th Doctor, and the stripes are a nod to the third Doctor. And the
Right.
I don't think that's true. I think it's just there's a limited number of wacky
Exactly.
accoutrements that
Stripes
you
and
can
boots
do
are
in an
not.
outfit, and,
And
they just
they've-
like mix them up again.
They've run out for years as well
Yeah,
because
right.
they had Matt
Smith, yeah.
Matt Smith running around going like fezzes are cool, which was the
Yeah.
most forced.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are you wearing a fez?
Yeah.
That doesn't make
yeah,
any sense.
bow ties are cool.
Bow ties
Bow
on.
ties are cool as well.
See, David Tennant killed it with chucks and a suit.
Yeah,
so
I
that
think
was
that was
that was
fine.
the last
Yeah.
original
I think
thought.
I
I love that book.
Knox, are
though.
you a fan of Doctor Who?
I
Yes or no?
go real back and forth on
Same,
it.
yeah.
Sometimes within the same day.
Yeah,
like,
there's some great episodes and some bad ones, but
Yeah.
I think I'm just thinking about this the other day that you've kind of hit the nail on the head in the sense of like what I dislike about it is the forced sense of coolness. Like
Yeah.
he was always just the show was just kind of lame but quirky, interesting.
Yeah.
And then Tennant brought in because he was charismatic and interesting.
Great hair.
He got a little, he brought in a little bit of cool, and they've sort of desperately been trying to hold on to
Yeah.
the cool.
He
since
doesn't
then.
have to
like,
be cool.
100%. And
Yeah.
they're a half step away from like just going like the next Doctor plays the saxophone as well.
See,
Well, there
and
was-
Capaldi, the
Yeah.
absolute nadir of it, I think, was
This is when
there's
I
an
jumped off,
There's an
yeah.
episode with the most recent series where Peter Capaldi just shows up on a tank playing an electric
Ray-Ban
guitar.
remember that,
shredding a
yeah.
guitar,
Yeah, and it's like clearly somebody in the offices went, "What else is cool?
Yeah.
Electric guitars."
Do you reckon the new Doctor can skate?
That's right.
What about soap shoes? But that's the thing. I think they should have leaned into Capaldi's like gruffness,
Yeah.
and just make him mean.
Yeah.
that I think that would have been interesting. Don't make him a cool dad.
Christopher Eccleston was a little bit like
Yeah, he
that
was
as
mean,
well, and
yeah.
it worked. And,
Yeah.
and they can. You've got this thing where you can redo the character every year. Don't have it be a different version of someone trying to grasp it. Like, but I've got green hair now. Maybe that makes me have a personality. But at the same time, I feel a bit weird criticizing the first female Doctor about her clothing choices. So
I'm okay with it. No, I barely remember it. I just glanced at it on Twitter.
Yeah.
It
the
was
jacket was
whatever.
cool. It was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
Anyway,
We're all...
Anyway, like every season of Doctor Who, I'll give it 2 episodes and go, oh, that seems
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll come back to that and then I
And
won't.
by the third one, she'll be dressed as a Roman, and then a Robin Hood,
Yeah.
Robin Hood. Yeah.
and then a taxi driver in modern day London.
It'll be Robin Hood, but everybody's a lizard secretly or something.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I think they did literally. Or were they robots or computers?
Yeah, I
don't
think you're right. Yeah. Good stuff. What a great...
I really like that show when it goes off and does something really weird and does like a little bit of a scary episode.
Yeah, like an angel, Weeping Angels.
There was almost a really good one where at the end it all turned out to be earwax or something that had like evolved on a spaceship and become alive, and it was really good up until that point.
I didn't say that one.
Hey.
Do you remember the one where the guy was secretly a giant bee?
What I enjoy about that is you could have made that up. So
No, I didn't. It's real. He was a giant bee.
That's pretty
It's
good.
a tenant one, I think. Yeah.
If he was secretly a giant bee,
He didn't know.
then good on him.
how define giant though?
Like man-sized bee.
No, but not like big enough that he could fit in a man's body, but literally the size of
the
a man.
size of a man.
Yeah, there was a lot of buzz around that episode. He was a bit of a bumbler.
One more. You can do one more. Let's do one more.
Something about honey, hive.
I don't think I'm ever gonna wasp it again.
Nice.
Not a bee, but we'll take it.
No, I know. I
That's
can't
fine,
think of a
that's
third bee thing. Not a lot of bee episodes. Not as many as there used to be.
Okay, yeah, that's
before.
good. Yeah, it's-
Pesticides.
Anyway, everybody go see Chimp Cop at the
Yeah, it's
Melbourne
great.
International
It's really
Comedy
funny, yeah.
Festival.
We
Actually,
come up with it months beforehand, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all the jokes are vetted. So yeah, I've never seen it.
Hey,
I
that's
gotta
okay.
come see it.
You and the rest of the population minus about 400.
I've heard nothing but good things.
It's all right,
Even-
James.
yeah.
This festival I saw it twice. So
There you go. Excellent.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember Mark Bonanno said, I heard him say that it was like the funniest sketch comedy like he's ever seen.
Oh well, that's good.
And he's
but
in
he's
the
never
sketch
he's
comedy.
never seen Auntie Donna though, has he?
That's
He's
true.
always
You're
been
right.
in it,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
He's in Auntie Donnie.
Yeah,
That's
his
true.
opinion
yeah.
is worthless. You're right.
No, they set up a big mirror and they watch it like a bunch of perverts.
That's why they all have facial hair still, because they have to look into the mirror and use their heat vision. I'm going to do a Superman thing, but
That was good. I liked it.
couldn't be. But I'm secretly a giant bee, so I'm not great at human interaction.
All right, here we bloody go. Star Wars is getting a brand new trilogy. The first of which will be written and directed by Rian Johnson, who will be overseeing the entire project.
Oh, so he's only writing the first one.
Yes, well,
I'll let you finish saying this,
No,
and
no,
then maybe
please.
I will know more.
No, it's fine. No, it's going to be separate from the episodic saga, and it'll introduce new characters from all corners, from a different corner of the galaxy and Star Wars lore that has never been explored. So yeah, he's basically doing the framework of the first 3, presumably like how George Lucas did for the original trilogy,
Right.
and he'll write and direct the first, and then I guess from there we'll kind of see how that goes.
Oh, okay. I thought he was directing all 3 of them, but I guess
He might.
Right.
He could very well. I'd imagine
Yeah.
it just depends on how
'Cause
he's feeling.
It depends on how many of the current directors produce something terrible in the next 6 months or become severely problematic for any number of reasons.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And then somebody like whoever's reliable will step in, I guess.
Because it would tell me if I'm right about this. It went Rian Johnson after Colin Trevorrow.
Yep.
And he was the original one lined up to do it, and now it's J.J. Abrams again for
For
episode 9.
Yeah,
For
that's
9,
right.
Yeah.
And we talked about this on the show. We thought that Rian Johnson was just going to go straight into 9 when
Yeah.
Trevorrow left, but obviously he was setting this up.
Yeah.
So that's why that kind of, well, unless he was never wanted to do it anyway.
They must be really happy with how 8 went.
They must. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, which says to me that it's really good, or at the very least, Disney think it's really good, because they would
Yeah.
not have announced this if there was any
Before there's
question,
any
that-
reaction
yeah.
to it from anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good sign.
The interesting word they've used there is lore as
Yes. So is it existing? Is it?
well. Like, what are
Yeah.
they is only the canon stuff
Yeah.
that they consider canon to be lore? Is the Old Republic stuff lore?
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to throw out to you guys, because they've also announced a live action series which is going to come to the Disney streaming service in 2019. So I just wanted to get general thoughts on, is there any areas from the Star Wars saga of all eras or new eras that you would think would make an interesting TV show and or television or trilogy of films, Star Wars films? It's also a competition, so...
All right, here we go.
Lightsabers.
It's the best thing. I can't compete with that now.
That'd be pretty cool. I would love to see like a thing about the first like lightsaber blacksmith. I'd
Okay.
like to see heaps of shit. Just like
Yeah.
almost anything that they could do, but like something really actually far away from everything they've done.
Yeah.
Something very separate. There's not been a lot of ground level stuff.
That's true, yeah.
Really, like I have always like the thought of them doing a very kind like just like a noir film.
Yeah,
on,
right.
On Coruscant or something,
Well, there was a TV show that was planned called Star Wars Underworld, which was going to be set between episodes 3 and 4 that George Lucas was working towards. There's apparently 100 hours of it were planned out, and it was exactly that.
Oh, right.
Seedy
That's
Coruscant
probably where I've
Underbelly,
gotten that from then.
You've stolen that, yes.
Yeah.
You are disqualified, Mason, you win.
Yes,
George
I'm going to take
Lucas.
lightsabers then.
George Lucas would never accept idea theft.
Yeah.
He would be furious about it.
And the interesting thing about that is some of the ideas from those scripts, one in particular which talks about a young Palpatine and how this woman broke his heart, paved the way for the new God of War game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the creator behind that borrowed that idea. So I think that. So apparently, from all accounts, and this is all coming from internal sources who worked on it, it was all amazing.
I'm glad that never happened. I'd think
Mm.
Palpatine turning evil because he had a broken heart would have been the lamest.
Yeah.
But now you can
shit in the
see it
world.
in
That's
the
what
video
happened
game.
with Anakin, I guess.
That's it, yeah, well, you're not wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, like something much smaller scale.
Yeah.
No big galactic conflict. Have it be in the background.
A lot of people have said Knights of the Old Republic. So not even that, like the formation of the Jedi and the Sith and
That's all still
that.
quite big, and
Yeah.
they've done that, and it's interesting. And I really like
but not
that.
canonically anymore, I guess. So people, that's the one thing people want to see. I'm not particularly.
That's a weird one because they're still running a Knights of the Old Republic game as
it's not-
the online
yeah.
thing, and is that not
not-
canon at
not
all?
canon, yeah.
Okay, right.
Oh, they haven't announced it as canon. They
guess
could
it
turn
doesn't-
around at any point and
Because it's
Say
like
it is.
set 1,000 years before everything as well. I guess
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter whether
Yeah.
it is or not to them.
that's it.
But yeah, something small scale I would like to see.
Mason?
Bigger scale.
Oh, okay.
Just
Giant lightsaber.
just Imperial super weapons fighting each other every episode. I'm gonna go the other way. Just Death Stars fighting Death Stars.
Just Looney Tunes, but Darth
Yeah.
Vader and Luke Skywalker running in with bigger cannons
Yeah.
each time.
That's
Till
right.
one of them's the size of a planet.
What do you guys think about either a TV series? It'd probably work better as a TV series than a set of movies because they said they were getting away from the Skywalker stuff for the movies. But a group of Jedi on the run from Darth Vader. Because I don't think we've seen it a bit in the comics, the Jedi Purge.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot of time where the Darth Vader spent years just going planet to planet looking for Jedi.
I
Yeah,
think
that could be
the issue with that would be that as every episode and every season progresses, Darth Vader would seem more and more incompetent. kind of
Okay,
thing,
yeah,
you know?
no, absolutely,
Because
yeah.
that's kind of how I feel. Like, you know, we got Rogue One in that last 2 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
he's sort of regained his status as this terrifying machine of death kind of thing, and to
Yeah.
have him increasingly go, you know, just shaking his fists at these
Yeah.
Well,
Jedi
and
that
even-
keep getting away from him.
And we also got that a bit in Rebels now that
Yeah.
I think about it
Yeah.
also. Yeah.
Even when he did, you know, reclaim his status as a badass or whatever, he let him get away.
That's
and
true,
then
yeah.
30 seconds later, he's like, where is everyone?
right? Oh, there they are. Oh, yeah, they're getting away, aren't they?
No, it wouldn't be a robot.
Yeah.
No one ever does anything important with a robot, which I am.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, it's something with Darth Vader being like a big threat again.
Yeah.
Would
And it wouldn't have to
kinda
be
cool.
every episode Darth Vader shows up. You know what
It's
I mean?
a
Yeah.
Dukes of Hazzard situation. He's the boss hog.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
They're always leaping a gorge, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
covered in pig slop."
It could also depend on where the new trilogy ends. Because if this ends and then they went, we'll take a minor character from the new trilogy and we'll do a Poe Dameron trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it might not necessarily, you know, they could go that direction. Or they could, I know there's Star Wars comics set like a couple hundred years in the future with a Cade Skywalker.
Cade.
Yeah, it's a...
That's a weird.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
haven't heard of
canon
that.
anymore.
Right.
It's, he's very Ryan OC. Kind of.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
from that era.
There was a series of books that were like kids' books around the time episode 1 came out that were Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon when they were younger, just going around solving problems.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It was a
Like
bit-
young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And they were going around just like, okay, well, what's wrong with you? Okay, we'll fix it with lightsabers. Obi-Wan's going to jump real tall.
Oh.
Yeah. But that sort of just like traveling problem solver
Yeah,
type
right.
thing. Or like sliders.
yeah, like sliders. Like Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
I was trying to think of whatever that Kurosawa movie is where the
Hidden
guy
Fortress?
No, Lone Wolf and Cub. Is that
Yes.
Wolf and Cub?
Yeah, that's it.
Wolf and Cub?
Wolf and Cub. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's so much possibility here, but I also think they're very limited in what they can do because it's either Knights of the Old Republic around the original trilogy or slightly after.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do. I think one of them's definitely going to be Underworld. Like I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
seeing like a group of bounty hunters or a guy who's indebted to Jabba, and you have to
Yeah.
and you
Star
follow
Wars
him.
Squizzy Taylor.
Yeah,
Would be a good
that's
one,
right.
I think.
The
They-
new-
They
sorry,
won't just make something new up, right? Like they won't just go.
Well,
but it'll like in terms of broad themes, it'll be either smugglers,
Yeah.
imperialistic government, or
Old Jedi stuff.
space wizards.
Wizards, yeah, exactly.
So those are really the three
Yeah.
bases that Star Wars has kind of touched, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's going to be or like farmers, I guess.
oh, farming,
Moisture farming.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting,
yeah, okay.
That
They
could be
should-
all right.
They should just ship the moisture in when you think about it. I mean, why are you mining it from a dry planet? Why is
guess so.
anybody there? Just bring it in. Is what I'm saying.
Why don't they just leave Africa?
You know what? That's a really good point.
There's more jobs over here. Just no, but don't come into the country.
You know what? You've shown me the error of that thought. Yeah. But look, hey, we'll find out soon enough, probably.
Yeah, do you reckon this means trilogies happening constantly forever in between the
Yes.
standalones?
I think this will be the buffer between the new trilogy.
Yeah.
Like 10,
so you think
11,
there's an
12.
episode 10?
There will be.
Okay.
They've even mentioned they've hinted towards doing it, but I think you wouldn't just launch straight into it because I don't think people would care if you leave it for 10 years and then come back.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, all these characters I loved are gonna be back,
And then you can have some progression in the meantime
Yeah.
with them. I'm really looking forward to 8. I wasn't a huge
too.
fan of 7. It was kind of flat, and it might be one of those ones that gets better in retrospect once you
Right,
feel
yeah.
like you know the characters better from the later ones.
yeah, okay, yeah, I get it.
But so
You
I
hate
guess
it.
I'm not looking forward to a new trilogy with new characters.
Did you like Rogue One?
I liked Rogue One
Okay,
a lot.
cool. Yeah, fair enough.
Rogue One was great, but do you reckon this Han Solo one will be good? I'm sure you've speculated a bunch, but
We've seen literally nothing from it.
yeah.
Probably, I think at best it would be okay.
And they swapped directors.
Yeah.
I was going to say
Yeah.
twice, but they did it once, and there were 2 people.
Yeah,
as one
they
of the groups.
reshot 80% plus of it.
Eee.
So that's the rumor. We interrupt this podcast.
Ooh.
We've kicked Knox out of the room.
Good.
He wasn't happy about it. There was a lot of threatening and spitting and violence.
Quite frankly, none of us were happy about it. What were we,
I don't know.
what were we arguing about? You know, sometimes you look back and you're like, what were we even
Yeah,
arguing
that's
about?
it. We've got a new sponsor this week.
Yeah.
It's actually an online dating service called eHarmony, which I'm sure a lot of people have
You've heard about it, certainly.
Now, initially, well, my reaction was, it's not something that I'm really familiar with. But at the same time, then it turns out that you met your lovely partner on an online dating service.
That
is
is
that
true,
correct?
I did, yeah.
So,
I'm a big fan.
yeah, so you hate...
I mean, not currently.
yeah, sure.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. So the idea behind eHarmony is instead of doing, they've got here lazy text messages and dead-end conversations and just random matches. Maybe they're like, "You love Jenny from my work. She's not terrible, but she is terrible.
She is terrible.
Don't
yeah?
even think about
yeah,
it."
Yeah, yeah. But,
But,
that's the beauty of your online dating, your eHarmony situation.
Yeah.
is you can put up you put up a profile.
Yep.
You've got the time and space to like
Yes.
put something that is good about yourself, or like put up a little profile.
Yep.
You know, that's funny.
Exactly.
That worked for me.
Irreverent.
Irreverent
Or whatever
yeah.
whatever matches your personality.
Tinder doesn't work for that, right?
No.
Because nobody slows down for it. They're just like, no,
Yeah.
yep, no.
And I think that's, look, not that I've used either, but I think that's the idea with eHarmony is it goes away from that, and you'd fill out a survey that tries to statistically match you. So it's not just, I like this picture of a person. It's actually kind of, there's an algorithm in place to kind of match you up with somebody. That's
I
the
think it's
idea.
great. I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah. So the idea is, it's not like a hookup site. It's more to build and find long-lasting, meaningful relationships. So, you know, it's more of kind of a long-term partner thing if that's what you're after. That's the idea, yeah. So,
But
listen.
who knows? Well, as your oyster.
That's right. And also they've helped over 1 million people find their perfect match, which is, it's quite a lot.
That's a lot, isn't it?
When you do the math. Well, you don't have to do math because I'm telling you it's 1 million, Mason.
You've given me the literal number, yeah.
Put the calculator away.
No.
He's just writing boobs. But actually, we've got you can get a free trial month at eHarmony if you sign up for a 3-month subscription if you enter the promo code PLANET at checkout. This is the call to action. It says brackets must read. So I must read this, okay?
I was going to say maybe you shouldn't reveal the mechanics of the ad, but then you revealed more of the mechanics of the ad, and then I was happy about it.
Full transparency, Mason.
This is an ad.
That's right. Yeah, stop waiting and start your journey to a satisfying, meaningful relationship. It can be fun to play around with online dating apps, but when you're ready to fall in love with someone and have a meaningful relationship, there's one app that's built to bring you real love. eHarmony.
Tell them you like superhero movies. Tell them you like the Weekly Planet in a little survey.
Don't.
No, do. I insist. Let's see if we can get some matches happening based on us. How good would that be?
Come see how eHarmony can change your life. Go to eharmony.com and get started and enter promo code PLANET at checkout for that 1 month free we were talking about.
Nice.
So yeah, look, see how this goes. If people, it's
easy. Look, it's sometimes the online dating seems pretty daunting, but you know what? Fill in that survey, put in a little profile. It works, trust me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Why should we try? Oh, you did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it. That's true. Yeah.
Good. All right. I guess Knox can come back.
Knox can come back in again. All right.
Do you want to talk more about Star Wars, everybody, but video games?
I mean, moments ago I was thinking, God, I'm actually kind of exhausted just thinking about
Mason,
Star Wars.
You haven't even begun to
Yeah,
get
let's do a whole
exhausted.
episode on it, though. Sounds really good.
There's a big ass universe of Star Wars out there.
You know it.
Yeah.
We're going to talk the best video games, the worst video games. We're going to forget a bunch of them. So don't
We're going to get letters for a week about it.
email in.
I was trying to look up like a chronological list of Star Wars games before and couldn't do it within the first 4 links,
Yep.
so gave up.
I've got a reasonably comprehensive
You
list
are on
here.
board. You are. That is the Weekly Planet ethos. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Whenever this happens, though, whenever we say we'll always forget something, at least a couple of people are like, I can't believe you didn't talk about this really specific thing that I like. I'm
All right.
sorry in advance.
I'm going to try and quickly get those out of the way. Star Wars Droid Works was pretty fun. You could build a droid,
Oh,
and
what
it
could
was
you do
mainly
with the
for
droid
kids.
after that?
You walk it around.
Is that from the 80s?
Or go up a ramp. No, like mid-90s.
Okay, no, I don't know that one.
The 90s were the best Star Wars
Oh,
video game
totally.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that was a crazy time when Star Wars didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So the only actual new things you could get were the expanded universe stuff.
Droid works.
But to actually see and interact and hear people talk as though they were in Star Wars.
Did it have the voice of Anthony Daniels, who'll do anything?
I don't
What a great one to start on. I love it.
It was pretty bad. It was like
Yeah.
basically, if you need to get up this ramp. Which droid do you reckon could do that?
Oh, okay.
The one with wheels.
Oh, the one with wheels.
Probably the one that
Yeah.
could fly.
Yeah.
Nah, couldn't
didn't-
get up
Oh,
ramps.
all right. Fair enough.
So naive,
Wow.
Mason.
Yeah.
Because if you
Man, I would have been stuck in that game for weeks.
Rebel Assault,
Yeah.
that's the other one people will
Did
could
they have
probably
some
get.
full
There's
motion
been a
video
few-
in it? Was
The
yes.
second
Oh, yeah.
one more so. I think they got live actors for the second one. I remember them being really good, but in hindsight, a lot of those were on rails.
Yeah.
Like you fly through a TIE fighter factory in the second one, I remember, and you're just controlling the turret and a little bit of the movement.
Yeah, it's basically choose left or right,
Yeah.
depending on from what side there is a
Yeah.
big wall.
You do Beggar's Canyon in the first game.
Yep.
If you remember in the T something Skyhopper, don't email in. Yeah. I remember, I think that did a good job of, it's a fairly basic set of like Star Wars games and levels, but it did a lot of different stuff. You could fly a Millennium Falcon-esque ship. You know what I mean? You do a bit of shooting, you do a speeder bike thing.
And
you know?
it came out around the time when it was just still kind of like a thrill to hear all the Star Wars music happening
Yeah,
with something
totally.
else.
And seeing full motion video was also a really big deal at the time.
Yeah.
So good.
Now it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Whenever you see full motion, like real people in video games, it's like, ugh.
I haven't seen someone do it like unironically for quite a while. Oh, actually, I have. There was a game called Abduction, and it looked terrible because it's this 2D, and they had bad actors and stuff. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, Star Wars like in the 90s was a really crazy, cool. Like that's where my first sort of actual caring about Star Wars
Sure,
came
yeah.
from, was from video games.
Yeah, that's probably the same for me. I'd imagine.
Some of the best ones have been as good or better than some of the films have been.
I don't disagree with that. Well, do you want to? Who's got a best one? You got a best one? Rebel Assault. Rebel
Fuck no.
2? I'm a big fan of the Jedi, not the Dark Forces games.
Yep.
Yeah. Dark Forces first one is okay. We've done a Caravan of Garbage on
We
it.
did, yeah.
It's like a Doom clone, but it's a little bit better, I would say, than just calling it a Doom clone. But
Yep.
then Dark Forces 2, you get a lightsaber, and Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy are.
As
I would
many
say
lightsabers as you
even
want.
now are the best lightsaber games by far. The combat in those are very good.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
But lightsabers are a hard thing. Just swords, like making things touch in video games
Yes.
is difficult to do.
And it's also difficult because with lightsabers, you shouldn't be able to even hit each other
Right.
once.
Yeah.
So, and I remember there was a cheat you could put on it where if you just touched a lightsaber to somebody, that bit would fly off.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
made that game so much more interesting.
Because that's what you want. And,
Yeah.
but Disney won't commit to that. The movies are almost exclusively committed to somebody getting a limb or a head or something cut off.
Yeah.
But the games will never do it. It's always
Yeah.
just hitting people with sticks.
Yeah, which was what I found the Force Unleashed games were.
Totally. You whack someone with the lightsaber and they crumple a bit.
Yeah.
You know, but decapitation is weird in video games. For some reason, there's specific ratings laws in most countries
Oh, I
around
see.
decapitation. I think in Japan, you can't show intestines coming out, but you can show limbs get cut off. Here, I'm pretty sure you can't have any decapitation. That might not be the case anymore.
What
Ever
if,
since
if you put a bit of a shoulder into the decapitation, you went kind of...
sure.
if you went at an angle,
Yeah, everyone an angle, yeah.
I think that would be the worst thing you could do.
Do you remember...
What if you just put the lightsaber right up their dick, like all the way? Could that be the worst?
It's a different thing you're violating there. It's not really about decapitation. It turns into a different rating.
Oh, that's
system.
okay. Right.
Interesting.
It becomes
Look,
too hot.
as long as there's no gambling,
well, that's
Australian
right.
ratings board will allow it.
Gambling's the one thing they don't give a fuck about
Yeah,
at the moment.
interesting, isn't it?
Well, we got a question about that later, which we can touch on loot boxes and such. But I remember... Do you remember that Metal Gear Solid game, which was... You could cut anything?
Metal Gear Rising.
I never played
Yeah.
it, but the first thing I thought when I saw that was... They should do a Star Wars game with this exact mechanic.
It would have been really cool. The
Yeah.
way they got around it in that as well is that everyone's kind of robots.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Which you could kind of do in Star Wars
You
too.
just said it during the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And you're fighting robots.
Are clones robots?
yeah. No, sorry.
but
no,
the
you're
robots are
yeah,
robots.
Yeah, the clones are clones and the robots are robots, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the general rule.
No,
You
there
could, have,
hasn't
you could
been-
have an opening crawl where it goes like, just to be clear, the clones don't have souls. They're not real people.
I mean, they say funny things and make funny noises, but no,
They're
you
not
don't have to
real.
worry about it.
No humanity whatsoever.
Do you want to jump back for just a little bit? Do you guys ever play those Atari games? The Atari Star Wars games? They're real bad.
It was too early for me.
And it was like one level where it was like you're just the snowspeeder going forever. And that's the game. It's like Empire Strikes Back, but it's just that.
and had the little like beep, 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 beep,
Yeah,
beep, beep,
yeah.
beep,
Like
beep,
I
beep,
was too. Yeah, that exact thing. Like I was too young for it, but I've seen or played it since. I don't know if I've even played it, but just no good. Imagine if that you love Star Wars, it's the only thing in the world that and then you just like you have to play that.
But they could get away with that like
Yeah.
back in the day because
Good box art.
you had no other reference point, and just like
Yeah.
having any interaction with Star Wars was a pretty novel thing, even up until the 90s.
Yeah.
Because there was something weird about Star Wars in particular where they've always been very good, those films, which is I guess why I'd say I want to see all these smaller scale things. Those movies have always been very good at setting up this broader world. And getting to see any little piece of that, it seems so fleshed out in your head that it exists there, that it is cool to go and actually see it in a thing, even
Yeah.
if you're just shooting at it. But Knights of the Old Republic is probably
Is that your fave?
the best one.
I've never played it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of.
Look,
sorry.
I don't know how easy to go back. That's a problem with video games as well. Is they're very difficult to go back to once they're old.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the mechanics feel dated very quickly.
And just they hadn't really figured out how to make them yet.
the story of that though people stand by to this day, don't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
I-
The Darth
and-
Revan. I know all the
Wait, so
twists
is
and
this a different Knights of the Old Republic to the online one, or is it the same thing?
It's the online one is technically the third one.
Yeah, it's at 1, 2 on the online. Is that?
Yeah.
okay?
And the online one they say like it's like 3 through 12. It's like we've got
Oh my
so much in
goodness.
here, but it's sort of a separate thing.
They did plan a 3, like a proper 3 that
Yeah.
got cancelled, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that game? Games did you like?
Boy, I don't know. It was the same thing of just like having these like slow, muted kind of someone just standing on a bridge on an alien planet, just going like, oh, it's a nice day today. There's something about that makes me much more invested in a different place than somebody going like, it's a nice day today on the Death Star, the biggest thing on the planet. You know, like it. Well, it's not on a planet, but
What's where they parked it for that day?
yeah. It's that having time to breathe, like the scale of a video game, especially one like that. It was made by BioWare, who did these very big, sort of expansive.
Where are they at now?
RPGs.
You're a video game man.
They just made Mass Effect it's all the people who were involved have moved around and switched.
Yeah,
but
right.
BioWare as a company just made Mass Effect Andromeda, which was terrible.
Yeah, I've
And
heard.
yeah, because Knights of the Old Republic was like a proto Mass Effect thing,
Right,
where
yeah,
it
yeah.
was this having just like going and helping someone who's like, I've lost my space cat, help me
no.
out.
Yeah.
yeah,
And you
like
don't. 'Cause you don't have
no,
to.
like if it's gone, it's gone. It's space. You are not getting that cat back. 9 lives or no, but there's something about like the scale that game was on was different from any Star Wars thing, and
Yeah.
it made me a lot more invested in and just seeing like a different Yoda. You know,
There's a Yoda in it.
So I don't think they've
Yoda?
ever named what that race is, right? Is that the
I
thing?
think they did in the old law, but not now. No.
Right.
And there was 2 of him because there was another one on the council from. The
So
Phantom
I think
Menace.
it's maybe this one that you see. It's like a more brown Yoda,
Oh yeah.
but it's still like, oh, but I took the same. Well, took the same, do I? And you like, it's impossible to figure out why that would be a thing with their language if they can know
it right?
English.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just seeing all that stuff and like getting to the end of that game and it's like 40 hours long and then it does the that fucking got me, you know?
Yeah,
it
right.
really pulled the Star Wars thing together well with being a well-made game as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It probably still does hold up. You can play it on your iPhone now.
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
I remember I saw that. Yeah.
Ooh.
Do you have one, Mason, that's better than Knox's?
Look. No. But I want to talk the one that I loved as a kid and we recently replayed.
Yeah.
Is Star Wars on NES.
Brutal.
Brutal, right? We recently
on the SNES it would have been.
No, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Was there one on that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
There's
sure?
2.
There's 2. There's a Japanese
which
one.
we have
Ah.
also, and there's a regular, a real one.
Look at Mr. Shithead over here trying to correct you.
No, I've got a Retro Pi thing, and
Yeah.
which you have one as well, actually.
Yeah.
And everything's.
But
on
it was
there.
so at the time.
An
it was-
NES one. Is that
yeah.
the same as the Game Boy one where you... Maybe the Game Boy one was more like the SNES one. Tell me about
They're
it.
all quite simple. They were all sort of side-scrolling platformers. And at the time, I played it and it's expansive and it covers the whole...
So many caves.
It covers the whole... Yeah, exactly.
My favorite thing about Star Wars, the caves.
and the different colours.
Put
It's crazy.
30 caves in here. We love
feels
caves.
like 30 caves. But at the time, when you're a kid and you have nothing but time,
Yeah.
it was... And it told the whole story of that first movie, and it's
Yeah,
got all the
loosely.
characters you want, and it's got lightsabers, and it's got Han Solo's big old blaster, and it's got all kinds of stuff. But man,
It might be our greatest caravan of garbage adventure yet when
Yeah,
that
it's-
goes up in a few weeks. It was
boy howdy! If
insane.
you're an adult with responsibilities and no time to spare, you're given when we started it out, and you get 3 lives and 10 continues, and you're like, what do we need?
very generous.
Very generous. Turns out not generous at all. That is,
We whittled
that is
that down very quickly.
in
yeah.
minutes.
My favorite thing about those Star Wars games that do try to follow the plot of the films is then when they have to pad it out a little bit with stuff that didn't
this
Did
is-
you
yeah.
know that the bit they didn't show you in A New Hope is Luke spends about half an hour trying to climb up that sound crawler?
Yeah, right.
And
yeah.
it had a bunch of traps on the side. Bet you didn't
Yeah.
know that.
That's right.
That's exactly what it is.
There's a lot
yeah.
of precision jumping
Yeah.
and instant deaths.
Yep.
There's just...
What the hell is that?
There's someone talking about an Isuzu. They're not
Oh.
a sponsor of this
They
podcast, are
absolutely
they?
are not.
Then
But it's just...
Oh, it's my okay. It's all right. My phone just started going off. Sorry, keep going, everybody.
Look, it's great. It's
That's not great.
no, it's bad.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games where, as a kid, you've got... It's a game where you have to learn by dying.
Right.
It's one of those, and as a kid, that doesn't concern you because you play for 2 minutes, you die. You play for 2 minutes,
Yeah,
you die.
yeah.
You get past that one, you die again. You get past the
Your mum
next
makes
one.
you go
and
outside.
Exactly.
You
You,
do. You come back
hate her
in.
for years. So then you keep and you just play and die. And you get
Concept of death is too intangible to me. I'm a child. So
exactly.
it's
and
not
then you
freaking
get
me out.
incrementally further every single time, and then eventually you run out of your 30 lives. But that's fine, and then you just start again and you keep going. But as a grown up, you're like,
Boy.
this is the worst game design I've ever encountered in my life.
Well, you had to, if you spend $60 on a game, you
gotta get
in
through
the
it, yeah.
80s, you can't breeze through it in 6 hours. People would be furious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be like 40 minutes, some of those ones, if it weren't for the like artificial difficulty in them. That's the problem with Star Wars games in particular as well, is that there's a lot of fucking bad ones.
Oh yeah, there's
out
so
there
many.
as well.
There feel like there was a time between like 2005 and except like The Force Unleashed, I guess.
That was the
And
concept of
recently-
that was much cooler than the execution. of it.
Totally.
Mm,
I like the story.
It's great. Like
Yeah.
being Darth Vader's secret apprentice, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And it did not really go anywhere interesting with it.
I'm just trying to think, what else was there even? They did a few Lego ones. And the Lego, when I first played the original Lego ones, I'm like, these are fine.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I couldn't play one of those. I played one of the Marvel ones recently and I'm like, this is garbage.
Very repetitive
Yeah.
without that difficulty thing that no sense of achievement, but the same level of repetitiveness.
Yeah, right.
And it was made like the 90s, early 2000s when they were doing like Rogue Squadron.
Yep.
And
TIE
Shadows of the
Fighter?
Empire was all right.
I hate that.
That was the one where it was like, this is what happened between episode 4 and 5.
I love the story.
This is the
Yeah.
secret. Fucking what's his name?
Dash Render.
Dash Render.
I think the opening level of that, where you were in the snowspeeder in the 3D environment.
Yeah.
Even now, when I say that, I'm like, that's incredible.
So
I really
that was
think
the
it
first
is,
time they'd done like the Hoth thing as well,
Yeah.
and now every Star Wars game has
It's
to
all
open with
Hoth,
Hoth
yeah,
for some
exactly.
reason.
Though we played also Super Empire Strikes Back, and we did the Hoth level, and it was brutal. Like it was because it's all 2D planes kind of shifting about. There's
Yeah.
no sense of depth. Like it's just impossible.
My favorite character from Star Wars, spiky crawling thing. Hooray.
Yeah, but
There's 100 probe droids for some reason.
so many probe droids. Yeah.
You're not probing anymore. There's too many
It's
of you.
done. You did it. Yeah.
When you go to the doctor, he doesn't put 8 gloves on. Time for me to probe you.
That's right. But but that game from there, I remember, is just shitty platforming.
Yeah.
And you got to fight Boba Fett, but it's real hard, and he's got a jetpack, and you don't.
Yeah,
Star
Star Wars-
jumping's just real floaty, and
Star Wars games have always been a really good indicator of where the middle of the industry lies. Do you know what I mean? Like they've been a pretty good track of like bland video game.
Yeah, right.
Most of them, like Force Awakens, I would say that around 2008, that's what every
Yeah.
game was like. This sort of third person
Yeah.
thing where like I've got sort of powers,
yeah.
and I don't
It's
know.
it's like a God of War knockoff sort of.
Yeah, or like Infamous and Prototype
Yeah,
and
right,
all of
yeah.
those sort of things that were coming out at that sort of
Yeah.
time. And now there's way fewer than there ever have been, weirdly.
Yeah, well, they've just like Star Wars games.
Star Wars
Well, there was
games.
because they cancelled everything. They
Right, there
cancelled
was the
13,
big,
13.
the big,
And then they
Order
just
66 on Star Wars
that's
games.
Right. They apparently folded a lot of 1313 into the Visceral game that got
Cancelled
Was
again.
it the Visceral game? Was it Visceral?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
yes, it was
Yeah.
the Amy Hennig thing.
Yeah, which was supposed to come out the end of next year.
Yeah,
So there feels like there's this real void of Star Wars games at the moment until Battlefront 2, which is this week, which I'm hoping
Well, and
the
so-
single player is good. That's all I want.
That'd be great.
Yeah, because I'll barely touch the multiplayer. If you give me 6 hours and it's good, I'll take it.
yeah.
Because there hasn't been a literal single player story since.
Will you be happy with 4?
Unleashed. I'll take if it's. But you know what? For me, if it's a good 4,
Yeah.
I mean, $60 for a good 4 is a bit rough.
Yeah.
But I if it was a really good story, I'll take it. Yeah.
I think there's a chance it might be. They seem confident about it, but
Yeah.
like, and you know, they've gotten actors in and they've
Yeah.
tried to. It's an interesting sort
Yeah.
of.
Oh, FMV's back.
Pretty
Motion
much.
video,
Yeah.
bring it back.
It's,
all
it's-
right.
they call it motion capture now, Mason. It's
Very
a
good.
big deal. I don't know if you
Yeah.
know about it. but-
Well, and Respawn, who did Titanfall 2, which you really
Yes,
liked,
love
they
it, yeah.
just got bought by EA properly, and apparently are doing a Star
yeah,
Wars thing now,
apparently, yeah.
which could be great.
the other thing is because I was speaking to someone from EA about it.
All right, you've got connections.
Well, I did until they cancelled my bloody Battlefront trip. No, we talked about it last week. But apparently, what was I going to say about that? It was a bit of a mess, apparently, this game. The one that got cancelled.
The visceral one.
Yeah, and the idea was that it was going to be, they were going to do one a year. And
Yeah.
also this EA license is going to wrap up in like 6 years.
Oh, is it
so
really?
they're kind of like,
We need to.
we've
milk this
only
one,
released
yeah.
one. You know, they've had it since 2013 and they released Battlefront.
Is that
which
they've
in
done
my-
some mobile ones as well, I
but
guess,
fuck
which are probably
that.
money
Like,
spinners
there's been
for them.
so many of those and they're all shit. But like that first Battlefront is crap. It's for a single player. There are single player stuff you can do, but
Yeah.
to release that shell of a game,
Totally. As
is
a product,
ridiculous.
it is kind of irredeemable. But
And I know they built the engine and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They clearly needed to get it out for Force Unleashed. And
totally,
yeah.
and it sounds great and looks great and does all the Star Wars dressings really well. But
Hoth.
the game,
There's a
it's,
Hoth.
There's a bit where you stand on a bridge and go, "This is pretty nice." Isn't
do
it?
you go to Hoth? Is it Hoth?
Yeah, they
There's
do
an
Hoth.
ice planet.
No, they
but
definitely do.
It was
Hoth.
Hoth.
Yeah.
Okay.
They do all that. They do all the Hoths.
Yeah.
But they also did. We've talked about this before. You couldn't. I love the old Battlefront games. I think
Mm.
they're really good because, like, if you see a snow speeder, you can just grab it and go. And in that one, you got to get a token to
And
Transform into a
transfer.
speeder.
Yeah, and
to fly a shitty X-wing for a second before
Yeah.
you crash it into the side of a
yeah,
mountain.
exactly. Or
because-
for somebody who's way better than you, just cleats you up instantly.
I never felt like you could do anything with them to
Yeah.
help anybody
No,
out. It was-
you're too far up, and you can't maneuver well enough to kind of do anything.
So from what I've seen, Battlefront 2 is not that far off from all of that sort of part of it.
I hope.
The multiplayer is not super different to the first one. is what I've seen.
I bought the first one for like $8 secondhand to compare, and I actually really enjoyed the Battlefront 2 beta.
Right.
Which we'll talk about a bit more later. But even the mechanics of the roll, you can't even forward roll, and you can only sideways roll in the other one. It just felt better.
I've never seen a person sideways roll in real life. That's something every video game person can seem to do.
Yeah. But I just, and maybe it was because when I played Battlefront 1, everybody had been playing it for 2 years, and I had just picked it up.
After this, I'm going to attempt a sideways roll and probably severely injure myself, just to be like, can you even do it?
It's an extreme, like, the pace of that game is very different to other shooters as well, where each of the weapons has like a very slow rate of fire.
Yep. And there's that recharge cooldown.
Yeah. And so you have to kind of adjust.
You played the beta? Did you? The 2?
I haven't played any of 2 myself, no. Yeah. So I've only just seen a few videos of it and stuff. But that's out in like a week. So, or the end of this week, I guess.
Yeah. So people have already gotten review copies, and people have put up like the first 3 hours of the single player. And
really? Okay, right.
Which I'm avoiding, but
no, that's the thing with
crossed,
that I'm
man.
interested in too.
So you played did you guys play Battlefront 1 and 2, the original 1 and 2?
Guess if I did.
No, because that was the era when you didn't have a gaming console for
Went 10 years without one, I just had a 10-year drought.
From which year to which year?
I had a PlayStation 1.
Right.
And then I had an Xbox 360.
Okay, right.
There's the gap.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know how long that is, but...
Sure.
That's a generation missed. Yeah. Did you play them though?
I not a huge amount, a little bit. I didn't really take to them very much.
Okay, yeah.
Just because I wasn't really that into multiplayer games.
What's the format of Battlefront? Like this version you're talking about?
The original one.
Yes.
It's basically the same thing where it's combat in a Star Wars based environment or
great.
battle that happened. The second one takes you
So it's not a new story. It's just
some of
remember Hoth?
Yeah,
there
it's like the second one in particular is like Clone Wars all the way up through to Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
And that one has a really good single player campaign where you play as a clone battalion and you go through and you start off fighting droids, and then by the end you're fighting rebels. You know what I mean? So, and it's a really interesting, like, 2's got like, if you don't, I didn't play any of the multiplayer.
That sounds like a grim realization about the horrors of war.
There's a lot of
like, I'm just fighting some droids, and then you're like, I'm beating this rebel guy to death with a stick.
And there's bits where like all the Jedi disappear. And so you're fighting alongside Jedi and then you're not. And then much later, I remember there's a level where one of them escapes from the Death Star and you got to go gun him down or whatever.
Oh, that is cool. I should probably...
I don't know whether it holds up. I know people still play it and prefer it to the new one. But
because they were going to make a third of them, and again, that got cancelled for very similar reasons to everything that's happening now. It sounds like that Visceral one. A lot of people were really mad at EA for it and were like, well, they want to just put loot boxes and stuff. And it sounds like the project itself was a bit fucked.
It was a bit of... I just read this article this morning on it actually, that it was a whole lot of stuff, like the direction of it. Amy Hennig, they were aiming for like an Uncharted 4 style game, but none of them had made an Uncharted game.
And she didn't trust anyone to do the work, basically, so tried to take on too much.
Yeah, and the whole thing just... And apparently there were people who came off it were like, they should have cancelled this like a year ago.
Yeah, well, like 3 years or something that's been in development for.
And they didn't make much of it in 3 years either. There wasn't much of it to show. So
but no, it's EA's fault.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know what? It probably is. I don't think there's any one kind of person to blame.
Yeah.
But EA would bear the brunt of it because... Well, they should have probably managed it better, I guess, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and it seems like they rushed into getting this big name of like, Amy Hennig, she did fucking Uncharted, get her in, and maybe didn't think about how she'd gel with a team she'd never worked with
Exactly.
before. And
why couldn't they just get the Uncharted people?
Because they were doing Uncharted.
Yeah. They're like a separate studio that's like kind of owned by Sony.
But
I see. Right. Okay.
Because what it said in this article I read, that Uncharted don't necessarily have to sell well, but that Uncharted sells consoles.
Yeah, right.
So that's what.
Who are the B-list? Is that Naughty Dog?
That's Naughty Dog.
Who are the B-list Naughty Dog? Who could have?
Good question.
They have gotten instead?
Who made Knack?
I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, the B-list Naughty Dog would be like
God of War. Who made God of War?
That's like Sony Studios itself.
Oh, so it's Sony
Respawn
again.
did?
Okay,
No,
right.
yeah.
Well, it seems like Sony have got this sewn up a little bit. So
Yeah, well, that's what Microsoft are doing now, trying to go around and like buy up some studios because nobody wants to buy Xboxes these days.
Yeah.
As well.
Except for you got one.
I got one. Because I got it for super cheap because someone else
absolutely,
didn't want it anymore.
Hey, look, if you can get most of the same games, then who cares? You know what I mean?
I end up having both now because of the podcast that I do.
Of course, yeah. Filthy Casuals, the podcast.
Filthy Casuals
yeah.
on the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Correct. Checkitout.com, whatever it is. But
Checkitout.com. That's our website.
I listen and I don't even care about video games.
that's right.
So,
with the apparently the other thing,
I'm doing this episode about it, but
the other thing with the Amy Hennig thing was apparently she's a great storyteller, but she was giving input into level design, but that's not her area.
Yeah.
So that was also, again, that thing you were talking about of taking on too much.
Yeah.
There was another person who did. That was their job.
Totally.
You know?
Like
So, yeah.
Scorsese coming along and being like, I'm going to build the cameras as well.
I guess if she's good at story, surely in an Uncharted style video game, like story and level design sort of have to work together.
They do, yes.
Yeah. There's banter while you're shooting.
Oh, I
and
see,
then they'll
right,
stop
right.
and they'll look at a mountain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, you know
okay.
the best thing about that first Battlefront game was because I got it for free when I got PlayStation Plus or something. So
They're going to say when you rob that EB.
and the VR thing they made for that is about 20 minutes long, but it's fucking cool.
Really? What is it? Like,
It's you're flying in an X-wing. You're in an X-wing squad.
oh no, I have seen that. Yeah.
Somebody comes out and goes. Well, they don't come out there. You're in space, but they come over
They're
the
knocking
radio
on your window.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir.
Help! I've lost my cat. You go and save some people from a Star Destroyer, but just being in VR and seeing a fucking Star Destroyer,
Yeah,
size
right.
Star Destroyer, really cool.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Mason, get on that. Here's one that you love, Mason.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you had
Here
a
we
dead
go.
era where you did nothing for 15 years or whatever. You played the X-Wing TIE Fighter versus
Yes, I
X-Wing
did.
games.
Yeah, that's right.
And
They're good, and they opened with TIE Fighter.
They
if I
did, yeah,
remember
which was a
correctly.
bold
move.
move, but it
You're
was
playing
good.
as the bad guys.
No, actually, I think they opened with X-Wing.
I think they opened with TIE Fighter.
Okay, you keep lying.
They
While I
opened.
look it
They
up.
opened with X-wing. The
Damn
first
it!
one was X-wing, and then they did
TIE Fighter was the popular one.
TIE
though.
Fighter second, and
Yeah.
then like an expansion for
Yeah.
that, and then like X-wing Alliance or something, and
Yeah.
X-wing versus TIE Fighter.
Well, regardless, stop arguing about it, guys. I think they were good games.
I
Yeah.
agree. That whole flight sim thing has gone away. You know what was
Isn't it
cool
though?
as
Yeah.
well? Is at the time Mark
Pilot
Hamill,
wings. Oh, never mind.
Mark Hamill was doing those wing commanding.
He
That's
was.
right. Yeah,
But
And
not
so-
the
full
Wing
motion
Commander
video,
movie, yeah.
baby.
And kind of competing with the Star Wars ones.
Yeah.
I never played Wing Commander though. Were they good?
They were all right, and I was about 5. So
okay, sure.
take that with a grain of salt.
I was
no
very
good.
much an adult and I played them. I'm very old. There was one called Privateer,
Yeah.
which was sort of Star Wars inspired in the sense that you were the Wing Commander games. You're fighting against an unending war against these lion creatures who want to destroy the planet.
Yeah.
But Privateer, you're just some rat bag.
You're a freelancer.
Yeah, just some smuggler. That was really good.
So there's
Well,
no
so
great galactic conquest.
Then that
thing.
dude who made that, Chris something, I
Yeah.
think, went on to make a game called Freelancer, and now is making that Star Citizen game, which again Mark Hamill is in.
Oh, the
So
new
how
one.
about that? It all fucking ties
It's
together.
all coming together.
I think that thing is a tax scam. I don't think it'll ever come out. But yeah,
I think Red Rooster's a tax scam.
Do you really?
Do you think it'll
Discuss.
never
Is
come
that why
out?
there's like 3 of them?
Yeah, and that's why they never make any money. And there's never anyone in there. But
We're
they've
the
been around
only
for
we're
40
the only
years.
customers
Yeah.
ever. We're the only people who eat Red Rooster. Yeah.
I bought Red Rooster. I went in Perth Airport. Red Rooster is one of your small
Yes.
options. And when I went up and ordered,
And Darwin Airport.
Were they surprised when you ordered?
she seemed stunned. Like, you actually? Do we have any chicken? I don't. Okay, you can sit here if you want.
Yeah.
We haven't wiped anything down.
Nobody currently here has been trained on how to cook anything, so it might be a while. Do you want to cook it?
Do you have any allergies? Not to chicken. No, but like to anything because we don't really know what's gonna.
Sorry, you think it's a tax scam? It's Star Citizen.
Like that thing's been. It's one of those things where it was a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It's made about $100 million so far, and
Yeah.
they have shown bits and pieces of it, but have not come anywhere near to saying like, maybe bring it out soon.
Is it very
I-
controlled
yeah.
tech demos?
The
kind of
first,
thing?
the first thing I ever attempted to buy on Kickstarter was in like 2012, and
Yeah.
it never eventuated.
What was
never
it?
happened. It was a watch, and
right.
they got $1 million. They got $1 million in Kickstarter funding. It was on like all the tech blogs,
Yeah.
and then it was just a series of blog posts about how things weren't quite working out how they wanted to, and then
Yeah.
it was like, oh, we don't have any money and we can't make them, and
We're really behind schedule.
Yeah,
None of
and-
us have watches.
and we live.
we haven't been able to check the time.
And then there was like, and I'm living in my van and we can't, and then they just disappeared. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you
right.
just got $1 million and
Yeah.
you're like, will never have this amount of money ever again. So
That's
let's just-
crazy.
yeah.
It's not like people haven't made watches before
Yeah, right.
as well.
Exactly.
How can you not figure
well,
that
it was
out?
the world's
guys
thinnest
haven't made
watch.
watches.
Oh, the world's thinnest watch.
World's thinnest
I beg
watch.
your pardon, Maharaja.
That's right.
Do you remember Derek Smart?
I remember Derek
How
Smart.
fucking thin do you need a watch to be, though, by the way?
It was less
See,
than a
I've
I've
millimeter.
never
Millimeter.
tried to squeeze through a crevice and gone, oh, if only it wasn't for this watch.
Well,
Never saw my hand off.
that's how the T-1000 gets caught in Terminator 2 in that
bulky
in that
watch.
asylum. He gets caught. His watch
Got
gets
one of
caught
those
in the
big
bars.
Velcro dad watches
Yeah.
with the huge face on it. Yeah. Oh man. Anyway, those TIE fighter games are good, weren't they?
They were really
great
good.
aerial combat. The only thing I wish they could do was barrel roll. I feel like a lot of these games they don't.
Oh,
you can't
the
just
side
barrel
roll of
Yeah, the
fighter
side
Did
roll.
jets.
you not have any yaw? Is that
They're
yaw?
what like you could bank or whatever.
Right.
I reckon you
call
could
it.
yaw. In video in
It's a
flight
real
simulators, the
bloody
yaw is
yaw, mate.
it's quick tap to the left
Yeah.
and then a turn to the right and then you barrel roll. I reckon you could.
Yeah,
you're probably right, I probably
Maybe
just couldn't do it.
you couldn't barrel roll.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm a video game character. I can fucking sideways roll wherever I want.
All day and all night, baby. Did you ever play the original Star Wars arcade cabinet game where it repeats, but you just fly in and it's all just line graphics?
The what do they call them? Vexels,
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
It's fun. I mean, it repeats forever. I did
Yeah.
it once and I'm like, I beat it. And then it started again. I went, nah. And then
That's
yeah.
weird. Normally, Star Wars fans don't have a tolerance for watching the same thing again and again and again.
Ah, got it. But yeah, anyone ever play that?
I did on a pier that's now burnt down in Brighton, England. And I burned it down because the game sucked.
Okay, what about this? There was
The arcade machine was filled with asbestos. It was just
almost certainly.
just bales of hay and chicken wire.
There was
That was going to go up.
there was a Star Wars arcade.
Is asbestos flammable? I went with that, but I don't know.
I
if
think
it
it's
is.
the opposite.
Okay,
Oh,
right.
there you go. It's very safe. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ate a bunch of it, you would become impervious to fire.
Oh.
Any children listening? Pick it up.
Get into it. Do you remember there was a Star Wars arcade cabinet game where you just had the joystick and you just did a whole lot of things through it was called the Star Wars Trilogy. And you'd fight Darth Vader with a lightsaber. You'd go through Endor on the whatevers.
This
and-
was like a different version of the same one, right?
This is from like the late 90s.
Oh, this was a Sega one, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called Star Wars Arcade Trilogy or something like that. You familiar?
Yeah.
Anybody?
A bunch of different like WarioWare mini games almost.
Pretty
but
much,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
And I
Yeah.
always wanted to play it, but I
You have to
never
build a
did.
sandwich
That
on a
might have been
conveyor
the one I
belt.
played actually. Now that I think
Yeah.
about it.
There was it looked as it looked like a 90s 3D arcade virtual fighter-ish kind of game.
Yeah, maybe I don't really remember.
Still burnt that pier down though, didn't you?
Yeah. Episode 1 Racer, that was a really fucking
That
good game.
came with my 64 that I won, yeah.
I loved that
Me
game.
too. I played. We should play.
I would love to. That stuff about like that's the Star Wars stuff that I like when
Yeah.
they have all these weird dumb characters. It's probably weird for me to say the pod racing scene of episode 1 is the Star Wars stuff I like, but like all of those different designs of the pods and
Weird
everything.
aliens and
Yeah.
voice of Jake Lloyd. They got him.
Did they really?
They got him, yeah.
Big get.
Yeah, big. Got it out. They did it. There was a sequel as well, which I never played. It might have been called Racer's Revenge. Or
Yes,
something
on
like
the
that.
PS2, and it wasn't.
That
as
was
good.
called Racist Revenge.
Ah, so
Yeah.
it was a different
Very
game.
unpleasant. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, I remember.
Oh, if you're getting a revenge on a racist, then that's
No,
all right.
No.
Oh no,
No revenge.
Okay,
Oh,
right.
okay, all right, good. We played last year as well. What's on our Caravan of Garbage video? The one where we tried to beat Darth Vader in like 5 games and we didn't. But
It was a close race.
yeah, no, it wasn't. We played Masters of Terra Kasai,
The fighting game. Yeah.
and it's
that one's
not
no good.
good, but it's not as bad. I'm like, this is as good as Virtual Fighter. It's probably not.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird to see Luke Skywalker kick someone.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But I guess a lot of these video games, yet we go through the lens of, well, we're not paying for this, so.
Yeah, well, no, that one I paid for. It's right there. So it's-
Well, I didn't pay for this, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was worth it for a free game.
There
We
was
played
a-
for 10 minutes.
There was a PS1 game called Bushido Blade where you were samurais and it was basically first cut wins. You know, these
Wow,
are real
yeah.
ass swords. Something like that with Star Wars could be cool.
yeah, absolutely. No, it definitely wasn't that. It was
Yeah,
first
no.
kick wins.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, they went real nuts with just before Disney bought
Yeah.
everything. They went real nuts with like the Kinect Star Wars games.
I don't know why they would think people would want that.
I
What are you
don't-
thinking?
Everyone got fooled. Well, not everyone. Everyone who was in an executive position got fooled by people thinking that people would want the Kinect. All that motion control, because like a couple of 60-minute stories about grandmas playing the Wii, and all of a sudden
Yeah,
they're
right.
like, "Oh, the future of video games is
Yeah.
just waggling your arms around."
Yeah, let's just abandon everything that works.
Yeah.
Go with this new gimmick. Yeah.
And it's Han Solo should sing, but that guy's got some pipes on him.
Garbage. I've never played it. I've only seen clips of it. But there are bits also where you're a Jedi and you go through and you cut down
Sort
droids,
of. What happens is you go through and you make the motion in real life as though you're going to cut them down, and then whoever's on screen flips out and like hits his head on the ground, and you're done.
That sounds good too. Do you guys play? There was one Star Wars Demolition which I never played. It was like it's like a demolition derby game, but with all Star Wars vehicles on the PlayStation.
With those
1.
big dumb brown sort of like droid holder things from Episode 1 crashing into each other.
Yeah, it was that, or you're a chicken walker, or you're a whatever. I didn't play it, but
I don't think I did.
Yeah. There was Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, which was Age of Empires, but it was just kind of reskinned.
That was actually pretty good.
It was good,
but
yeah.
because it was Age of Empires.
Exactly. It was good because it was Age of Empires, yeah.
I'd never played any of the multiplayer online, like the massively multiplayer online ones either, because there were two of them. There was Galaxies,
Yeah, right.
which shut down, and that looked fucking weird.
Yeah.
And you could play through it as a droid or as a whatever the hell you wanted to be. You could be a droid that became
lost
a
cat.
Jedi
Okay,
at
right.
some point.
Yeah.
And it seems crazy in that way that older games that had small-ish communities around them where they got really strange with it. And that seemed cool because the modern one doesn't really appeal to me at all, the Old Republic. But that one seemed like it would have been cool if you were there at the time.
When they shut it down, was it like 2003? Was that World of Warcraft era?
It would have come out before that.
Oh, really?
Before World of Warcraft did, and it would have shut down around 2010.
Okay, so it ran for a little bit then.
Yeah, maybe earlier than that.
There used to be a lot of these. Like there was a Matrix one.
Yeah.
That's right. Matrix Online, yeah.
Maybe there was 3, but
There
I felt like
was
there was a lot of them.
a Marvel superheroes one.
There was a DC one also.
DC Universe
Yeah.
Online as well, and then a couple of knockoff ones where it's like
Age of Heroes.
you
or
can make
something.
Spider-Man. And-
James Spader, man.
yeah,
Wow, yeah. Republic Commando, which I haven't played. I bought it on Steam a while back, but it's a first-person shooter.
That's how they get you with Steam.
It was a package. It was like X-Wing.
I read an article on
Yeah.
it. It's like 75% of the games people buy on Steam they never play.
I bought a
it's
Star
like-
Wars bundle and I only played Jedi Outcast. Yeah, but it was like $19 or whatever.
Do you know what bothers me with that though is they all have different formats, and so some of them are Star Wars Big TM, and then they come alphabetically before they should. Anyway,
That sounds like a Ben Vernal nitpick.
well, yes, it's probably the same problem with both of us that's making us think like that, but.
Yeah. But you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That game is actually all right as well. You play as like clones in a little
Yeah.
clone squad, and you can tell your other clones what to do, and you all have New Zealand accents.
All day.
Pretty exciting. I actually don't remember if you do or not.
I'm sure you do.
I think they got rid of them. I think one of them did, and the other one was like, because they wanted them to be differentiated from each other.
Okay, right.
So
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
hear who's saying it to you. Because if you've got a squad of 4 people and they all sound the same, and they're
what?
all going like, "Help me!"
I'm the one with the yellow stripe.
It's okay, I'm colorblind as well. Sorry, and I know that we all are because we're clones. So we should have thought of a different system here. Maybe stars and circles next time. Shapes.
They should have cloned like, a nerdy Jewish one from the Bronx, and they should have
absolutely,
cloned,
yeah.
a big bruiser clone, and
Which is what you said was the new Call of Duty.
Fuck, it's
I heard you rip into that.
Yeah, it's no good.
Yeah.
You can listen to bloody
That way you
Filthy
just
Casuals on Planet Broadcasting.
.com, .a, whatever. But that way you described, like, it's the opening of D-Day and there's a guy who's like, everybody you gotta get to the beach and whatever. And then the people in front
He's
of you get
looking
shot
at a
and you
photo
go,
of his best gal just before
and
it.
he goes in the water, then it's muffled, and then somebody drags you out.
Wasn't the
There's a
first Call of
ringing.
Duty World War II as well?
Yes.
Like the very, very first one? Right.
They've taken it back to
They
basics.
have. And is it essentially the same?
They're
I
all-
guess it's the same war.
Well,
So-
it's worse because the first one had a British, an American, and a Russian campaign.
yeah, right.
I can't remember if they were
But this is
Soviets
just an
yet.
American campaign, I guess.
This is just Americans, and it's like 11 out of 10 Americans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
God damn it! That sort of American, and it's written by a chatbot or something, just like a chatbot that's seen Saving Private Ryan 100 times.
Oh, that's...
And has written something, and it also saw the worst movie ever, whatever that would be. It's no good.
Yeah.
It's not a good.
Mechanically, is it okay?
Nah.
I mean, it's Call of Duty.
It's really flat and bland and boring in the same way that like we were saying with the worst Star Wars games. It's just the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Just dead
Do you ever get a
of
flamethrower?
any creativity.
Do you get a flamethrower?
Did you get a flamethrower? Yeah, you do, and it looks quite nice.
There we go.
Okay.
That's
But
all I want.
it feels
That's all
really
I want.
weird to say that it looks quite nice when you're burning people. Nazis, to be fair.
Yeah, right.
But they really put it must be the strangest job to be an animator of like, I guess I'm spending the next 3 weeks making this, listening to this scream that's been pre-recorded again and again.
Does he sound like he's burning?
No, this is more of like a pain from like a sharp nail or something,
Yeah,
like a
right.
bullet scream. We want a fire scream.
Do we have enough money to burn a homeless man? Can we get away with that?
It has to be
Let's-
one who's good at acting though.
Yeah.
Bazooka. Do you get a bazooka?
Yeah, you do. You get Panzer Shreks.
Oh yeah, I like a Panzer Shrek from
Yeah.
time to time. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that like a food?
it's
No,
a green bazooka.
Okay. So don't get it though.
The multiplayer's fine if
what
you
it always
really
is.
like Call of Duty.
I just get killed 100 times in a row.
Yeah, well, it's weird for the last few of them as well. I don't know if anyone cares to hear this, but the specific problem with the design is that the maps are built in such a way where everyone turns a corner that they can't predict who's around it at some point. So it's designed in such a way that you will always be shot and get to shoot people enough so everybody feels like they're keeping up, you know what I mean?
Right,
It
yeah.
puts you in impossible to counter situations
Right, okay.
so that other people who are possibly worse at the game get to shoot you and kill you to feel as though they're getting something done.
Right, okay.
Which is really
Wow.
fucking lame.
Wow, it feels like communism
It is.
encroaching on
It is.
encroaching on Western Europe.
Imagine if you're playing chess and Gary Kasparov takes your pawn and you get to go, well, I get your bishop then.
Yeah.
That's just how it works.
IGN 8.5 out of 10 probably.
Yeah, cool. That's
I don't know. Yeah. All right. We should just speed through a few more.
While you do that, I'm gonna wee.
Okay. Knox, do you want to just hang out while Mason
yeah, let's do
leaves?
it. No, he seemed to be enjoying this conversation the most out of all of us, though.
Yoda Stories. Remember that weird desktop adventure?
I remember that one.
Shut up, Mason.
No, I
Go and wee.
I had that one.
You can talk about it when you come back from your wee.
It was like Lego Star Wars, pre-Lego Star Wars.
Yeah.
I remember that one. Hey, there was an Indiana Jones game as well.
Pre-Lego.
You're a real piece of work, Mason.
It's weird when you
know
can
that.
taste someone's pre-Lego. I don't remember that. A desktop adventure is in Yoda would sit on your desktop like the paperclip.
No, what was it? I remember it just being in a little.
with grammar, do you?
It was a little like Minesweeper kind of style box, and you Luke and it was kind of randomly generated, and you have to go and do little tasks. I don't, you know what? We'll
Doesn't
wait
sound
till
like much
Mason
of a
comes.
story.
Oh no, it's not very. It doesn't. It's not very good. The Phantom Menace on PS1, I remember liking, but it's a bit of a drag. in
I remember
hindsight,
liking
yeah.
that, but yeah, I doubt you could go back to that and still enjoy it now. But that was another thing where it padded out the sort of bits of that movie that could be a little more actiony.
Yeah, totally.
Where
yeah.
it's like, did you know it actually took them 3 days to take Naboo and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I remember liking that one as well.
Yeah, me too.
And getting to swing a lightsaber around again. Just
Yeah, exactly.
fucking cool. It's
I remember
fun.
going through droids with that. You just spin and keep spinning, and
Yeah.
they just fall apart.
And-
Go on.
Well, no, because it had there like that prequel, very wiggly lightsaber, you know, very spinny, which I actually really liked.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I like the heavy lightsaber thing of the
Yeah.
original later ones, the original ones, and I guess the new ones.
Yeah,
too,
there's a
more
bit of
like
that in that. Yeah.
But that very sort of graceful, dancey kind of lightsaber fighting, I always thought was really cool because it made them go vroom more often.
They did go for more from the get go. They also did. They didn't really do a clone. There was a Clone Wars game, but they didn't do a Attack of the Clones. video
They did
game.
a few
They did
weird ones
Game Boy.
around that.
We haven't even touched the Game Boy.
there's a
stuff.
fuckload of those,
There's
yeah.
The Millennium Falcon one, which is apparently like the worst on Game Boy Advance, which is apparently Flight of the Falcons, apparently the worst game ever.
Yeah, right.
Still talking about Yoda stories?
Nah, we moved on. I think we covered it
There was
all.
an Indiana Jones version.
I'm still thinking about Yoda stories if it helps.
Okay, what
Yeah.
was it? Because I was trying to explain it. Then I realized that I didn't really know what it was.
like
I
a
think it's
top-down.
Minesweeper.
Yeah, it looks a little Minesweeper-ish.
Yeah.
It's like a little top-down adventure.
Yeah.
Little game.
And it was on Dagobah, wasn't it? And you
Yeah.
were Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't it random as well, where stuff was?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it was
Like
a
sort of
randomly
like-
generated world, yeah.
Like a little roguelike.
Yeah. Anyway, tell us
Really?
about this Indiana Jones. No, don't.
Rogue One like.
Rogue. Oh, very good.
Thank you.
Did you play Revenge of the Sith on PS2?
No, I kind of dropped off of those ones around there because there were a lot that came out around then, like Bounty Hunter.
Oh yeah, not
and
great.
There was that Clone Wars one. God, what else was there around that time? That's when Knights of the Old Republic was around as well.
Yeah.
Which was really all I was... Because the prequels I just wasn't super into, like a lot of people, obviously. So all of the stuff that was branded around that, I... A, saw a lot of pretty dodgy reviews for.
Yeah.
And B, just wasn't interested in the setting as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super Star Wars. Did we talk about them? They're real hard and they're no good.
Yeah.
People love them, but they suck. They're brutal, man. Yeah. We played a few of them, and we played one last week, as I mentioned, but no good. Yeah. I know people love them, but no. I think that's everything.
That's nostalgia, though.
Yeah, isn't it?
It
just?
happens very rarely with video games and with Star Wars, but nostalgia
Yeah,
may
that's
have
right.
had an influence
Sometimes
there.
it gets you.
Potentially.
Sometimes it gets its little claws in.
Also, just quickly, Star Wars Monopoly is a cheating game that cheats. It's a son of a bitch.
How do you know?
Because I had it, and it would be like, oh, Darth Vader's rolled a 6, and he got all the property, and you're in jail. So like, it was just always that. They'd always roll exactly what they did.
But that is the plot of Empire Strikes Back, ultimately. He rolls a 6 and he gets everything and you go to jail. So
yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah,
What's the expensive one on
but I guess it
Star
would be
Wars
Coruscant.
Monopoly?
I guess I don't actually know.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah,
Amidala's Palace, Queen Amidala's
potentially.
Yeah,
Palace.
that'd be- yeah.
Naboo. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I think that'll do it. Anyway, sorry we missed your favorite game. There's always one. But should we do the next segment, Mason?
Yeah, let's do
and
another
Knox?
segment.
It's called What We Reading.
Oh, what we gonna read?
I'm doing the thing. What are we reading today?
So have we?
Now, what's this about?
Well, look, it's a little bit complicated. But basically, have you read or seen or watched or heard anything recently that you could recommend?
Not that I could recommend. I think you talked already about Stranger Things.
Oh, don't care for it.
I think it is actually shit.
Interesting.
All right, go. I want to hear
Go
this.
for it. Let's
Did
talk
you
about
guys
it.
like it? I actually
Yeah,
didn't
that's
listen
fine,
to that
yeah.
one. Oh
Yeah.
man, I hate everything about it. It has taken that everything that was good about that first series and done a shithouse
so you-
job with
you
it.
were
I
on
liked the
board,
first
yeah.
one, and the second one I'm really not. The things I liked about the first one was the sense of mystery and the really cool ways they had of having all, like these horror elements come into
right.
it. The setting and the characters were both really good, and the acting was incredible.
Yeah.
In the first series. Every single one of those three things is terrible in the second series. The characters are making stupid fucking decisions. Dustin is an idiot in this one, and he wasn't in the first one. And in that really cliched horror movie way of, motherfucker, you've been through this experience.
Yeah, right.
You know
That's
that
true.
there are these weird alien things from the upside down. Why the fuck do you think that's a lizard? What
That is
about
very
that
true.
metamorphosizing tadpole
But I
bullshit
mean,
thing?
what are the
with
odds
the
it's gonna
same
happen? What are the odds it's going to happen again? You know what I mean?
a million.
It
Is that a way of describing
Yeah,
how
it's
it's
a million. Yeah,
That's right. A million.
That really bothered me. It has to play Duran Duran every 18 seconds to remind you that you're in the 80s. It barrels through the 80s songs so quickly.
Yeah, they definitely got an increased budget for the.
Oh, it'd be, but like, no, imagine if here you were walking around listening to fucking Kanye every 8 seconds. You know what I mean?
wish. That's bloody
Nobody does that.
commercial bloody radio. Am I right? I don't know.
It's ridiculous. I remember the 90s and it wasn't constant Spice Girls. And I'm sure that the 80s was the same. So, and the acting, it like that new guy who's the psychopath jock guy is one of the worst characters I've ever seen written or performed. It is unbelievable how poor of a character that it, like someone described a jock to an alien with brain damage and they wrote it down in a language that they have not yet
well,
learned.
that guy's Australian, so not only did
He's
he
from
not,
Perth, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he doesn't. So not
He's the
only
Red Ranger.
Well, he's obviously was too young for all the 80s. You know, all the 80s movies with that stuff in it, and
Yeah.
also we don't have that. Camaro driving jock culture. So he's like three. He's like 3 levels away from knowing anything about it. So
Sure.
it's just like
I guess so, but
yeah.
like
I'm not excusing it. That guy's a bad guy.
yeah, Robert De Niro was never a boxer, but he
That's
did a
true,
pretty
yeah.
good job in Goodfellas.
Yeah.
But no, Raging Bull. But
and good fella. He did a good job in both.
I get, was he he was violent. And then I don't know, like the fucking bit where like the kid's drawing a bunch of, this is obviously spoilery for people who haven't watched this.
Sure.
The kid's drawing, at with the speed of light because he's
Yeah.
having these memory things, and then somehow they puzzle it all together, which
Yeah, right.
seems unbelievable. And then it's all these different. It's a bunch of lines going to different locations.
What
What
are they?
could this
Yeah.
be?
Right.
And then it takes ages for someone else to come in and go, it's a map. And they're like, what? It can't be a map, this series of lines going to different locations. How could this possibly be a map? It takes them so long to figure. That fucking cop just climbs down in the hole. Why?
Didn't he?
You idiot. Don't go down there.
Again, he has done it before. Yeah, you're right. He lived through the first one.
Oh my God. Yeah, you know the danger here. And yet you climb down this thing where you drop from such a height that you couldn't get back out even if it hadn't swallowed you up. It just, people are being dumb in it. And then like when all the other people with the mind powers come along, terrible actors.
I was going to say, what did you think about the controversial episode 7?
I am not a fan of any aspect of that second series of Stranger Things, which is a huge shame because I really liked the first one.
Are you going to watch season 3?
Yes.
Wow, that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Sorry, I have a very. It felt like it. I know it's my fault. I chose to watch it, but it felt like it took my time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. At least it wasn't 13.
I guess. It's so weird how like to be able to slip up that much in the second thing, and I felt like the performances were worse from all of the actors in it, probably because it wasn't as good of a script. So what are they going to do with it? You know. Anyway,
Man, what a world.
I know, right?
sorry.
No.
Is there anything you've liked this week? Not
I
you don't have to.
Well, you're saying like I liked it, but I'm like, you're not wrong. Like there's nothing in that where I'd be like, no, that's you've misread that.
It's just stuff that like when something gets its bugbear claws into me, whatever it is, then every other aspect of it I start going, no, that's fucked too.
Yeah.
I don't like the color
When
scheme.
you've got a man-sized bee in your bonnet about this.
Yes, I do. A man-sized thirst.
What I'm going to see Justice League this week. And then I'm going to try and watch The Punisher and play Battlefront 2. That's going to be my bloody
Was that
week.
Punisher's this week?
I didn't realize that was out this
yeah,
soon.
same day. So if you,
Huh.
I asked Mason this. I think if you had to choose between Justice League and Punisher, what do you do?
It's Punisher.
Really? So
Very
if you had to
quickly.
choose between, even though you don't like the Netflix,
I think there's a huge chance I won't bother going to see Justice League.
really.
Yeah.
We can't have you back, Knox. Because I want to hear a Justice League style Stranger Things rant.
But that's a problem with the DC movies so far, is that they haven't been awful. They've just kind of been boring.
Right, yeah.
At their worst. So I'll wait until it's out on a streaming thing.
Unless you hear it's like amazing or something.
Oh,
I
maybe.
guess,
I'm totally willing to be proven
Yeah,
wrong. I have nothing against DC. I prefer DC to Marvel in terms of the potential that it has.
Just a quick heads up
Stuff.
for you. You can say I've got nothing against DC all you like, but now you're officially a DC hater, and the internet will never let you forget it.
That's
Marvel's payroll.
Injustice 2 is my favorite fighting game in years.
That's such a good game.
and I fucking hate DC. No. It's really good.
It's really good,
and it
yeah.
shows that you can do really great things with. It's
Yeah.
the best DC story I've seen in motion
yeah, right.
That's probably true.
in a very long time, at least. The two of them combined
Yeah.
as well.
I mean,
the comic book's very good as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. I mean,
right.
it does have that thing because it's a fighting game where it's two characters and there's a misunderstanding and then they have to fight.
Oh, totally.
But you got to write. What are you got to do? You got to
Yeah.
write around it. But the idea behind it, I agree, is really interesting.
Yeah, there's you're right, that there are a couple of bits of, we've been in this elevator for ages. Fuck you. Time to fight. Yeah.
But it's the best version of that.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
And it makes Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite look
Never
really...
played it. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it hurt. It's not.
Yeah, no, I haven't played a lot of it, but the bits I have played, just the story stuff, it's okay as a game, but it's nowhere near as good as Injustice
Yeah.
was, in my opinion.
No surprises there.
Yeah.
Mason, what will you? Or
Well,
won't you
of course, Punisher and Justice League. The new issue of Mr. Miracle just came
Oh,
out,
yeah,
which
it's
is
great. I read
nice. It's a
that
good
too, yeah.
series. It's about DC series knocks about the world's greatest escape artist, but also he's having a real bad time mentally. So
Yeah.
that's something. It's
It's fun.
It's like,
just
yeah, it's
fun.
so much
Comics
fun.
are fun.
But it's
Knox.
like, Mr. Miracle's one of these characters that Jack Kirby invented in the 60s. And it's
Right.
kind of like this, he's one of the new gods and he goes to crazy dimensions and he's got this, this Technicolor costume and it's all these crazy wild situations, but also he's struggling with mental health issues. So, and so it's got the art has this contrast between this wild Technicolor stuff and just kind of monotonous sort of just day-to-day life kind of thing. It's really
That sounds kind of cool. Have you found with stuff like that, because in the 60s that would have been, a bit more fun and frivolous than it is
right.
nowadays, because of... And the way that the world is at the moment, a lot of those sort of things have been a bit less fun than they used to.
Oh, yeah, for
Do you know
sure,
what I
yeah.
mean? I played
Yeah.
through Wolfenstein 2 the other day, and it's fun, but there's something about the setting of the Nazis are back. Where
right,
it's like, this isn't as wacky as it used to be.
Yeah.
And you think there'd be some kind of joy in the kind of tearing through them.
Yeah.
But because it's real,
it is a little cathartic in some ways, but the fact that it's cathartic is insane.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
You know, like,
Yeah, I mean, we were getting like this is bored of Nazis and Nazis in games, and it's weird that now it's like a real.
Yeah, well, it's so.
I mean, it's obviously not
ridiculous.
this.
It'd be like if there was a real world uprising of ninjas again.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, we were just over and we're so bored with ninjas, and now
Yeah.
ninjas are just.
This is Mr. Miracle's costume as well. He still wears it.
I do like that a lot.
It's
Yeah.
way out there, man.
Also, he's got that. He's now being drawn in like that ruggedly handsome charm. Like he reminds me of Charlie Clausen. He looks
Okay,
like
yeah,
him.
yeah.
It's weird, right?
You think Charlie Clausen's handsome, Mason?
Yes.
You should send him a text.
I
and tell
will
him
send
that.
him a
Yeah,
text. Yeah. Oh, also, a friend of ours, Andrew Levins,
Yeah.
is not happy with having only 3 podcasts. So now he's got a 4th podcast. It's called Old Raps, and he every month he goes through like a different artist or a different like record label or something like that, and he just talks about it and he plays a whole bunch of old records.
I
and
honestly think that man has more
I was
time
gonna say,
than I do. You
yeah,
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah, like he's got
a
8
time
days a
turner.
week.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
on a different.
Yeah.
He's gonna just realize that he's forgotten to shit for 3 years or something.
Yeah, right.
But I know that he does do that because that's when he runs his 8 meme pages.
Yeah, right. Ah, he's driven. Anyway, there's been an episode about Manny Fresh, who produced for Cash Money Records, and there's an episode about Dungeon Family, who are Outcast, and they're good. It's a good old time, and it's a lot of stuff that I sort of was tangentially aware of, but have never really got into. So.
I really like the image he made for it, which was out of old rap tapes.
Yeah,
Out of
right.
old
It's good. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
cool.
Letters, Mason? No, next one, Mason?
Yeah, but just
Did
hang
you
on.
say whether or not you liked Mr. Miracle? I
it's
can't-
great.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, great.
Great art. It's the writer's a guy called Tom King, who's been doing some great stuff. He's a former CIA operative who's
Holy
turned
shit.
to comic book writing. So that's fun.
Wow.
Yeah, he's real. He's the realest person in comics.
Does he also write Injustice, the comic? Maybe he does. Or that's
I don't
Tom
know. I think-
Taylor.
no, he writes. Is he doing the Batman run at the moment? Tom King?
Yeah, maybe.
Because this is something I should say, and maybe you can help me with.
Yes.
Is that I've never really been super. I've never had a good entry point into comics. Is maybe the best way
Right.
of saying it.
Oh.
I have
People
multiple.
have asked us about that as
I
well.
have multiple times gone like, I know that there's stuff in here I would enjoy.
Yeah.
Because people who I see eye to eye with on a lot of stuff do, but I never really know how to get in. It seems so impenetrable.
Do you want to get in with superheroes, or you just want a comic book?
It's a good question. Both, I think. Like
Invincible.
That's
when it's
a
not-
pretty good one.
It's self-contained. It's
Okay.
about to wrap up. It's superheroes, but you don't have to know anything about.
There's a comic book
superheroes.
that
because it's the continuity is so
Yeah.
different from thing to thing.
I'm going to say the title. You may not be on board with, but hear me out. There's a comic book called Sex Criminals, and it's
Okay.
it's
It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's basically it's about a couple who discover that when they have sex, time stops for them. So they then decide to use that for their advantage. And there's a whole subplot where they're like, hey, we're gonna save the library, and in order to do that, we should rob a bank. We should use these powers because we're evidently the only people in the world who can do this.
That's
so
a great
let's-
idea.
So
there's
let's
a crisis happening.
yeah.
Quick!
But it turns out they're not the only people in the world who this happens to, and it's very good. It's
Okay.
Matt Fraction is
and
the
Chip
writer, and Chip
Zdarsky.
Zdarsky. It's very funny. It's
Yeah.
very self-aware. It's really good. You
Yeah,
should-
Matt Fraction's
Invincible
great, yeah.
sex criminals.
Yeah.
Invincible sex criminals. Read them.
So if I wanted to
Yeah.
be like, and now I read DC comic books, how the fuck do I do that?
Probably
Do you-
do Batman. What's that Batman one? That
Oh,
origin
Metal.
one? No, not that. What's
Okay.
the Batman origin classic that everybody loves?
Oh, Batman Year One.
Yeah, just read that.
Okay.
It's like it's a good introduction.
I think
to
this
it.
is the other thing I have to do is eliminate the completionist aspect of my head.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I want to go through and start from
Yeah.
the start and go through everything. And I think there is no real start.
Yeah, there's
No.
not.
Yeah.
I would take self-contained graphic novels. Look like top 10.
Well, because that's what
just
I've
read
done.
that,
I've
yeah.
gone through and I've read all the
Yeah.
Watchmens and whatever
Yeah,
of,
okay,
of
cool,
that
yeah.
sort of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
Mouse.
Mouse, yeah.
A lot of people will recommend Watchmen as like, oh my god, you've got to read Watchmen. But that's kind of
It's a lot
that's
of-
a tough first read.
It's
I think.
very referential to comic books as
Yeah,
well. And I think
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of what's impactful to people about it is a direct response to what they'd already have from comic books, which you
Yeah.
don't get if it's an entry point for you.
Exactly.
But I did like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um,
We should do an episode on that though.
like
of
entry level stuff.
entry-level
Yeah,
stuff,
that'd be good.
'cause
And
a lot of people
also,
ask us.
what comic books often do, and DC does it especially, is they will reboot their universe every 10 years.
Yeah.
And then, so if you're really getting it, if you start from the start, you've got 40 years, and then they reboot it, and then all the characters are different slightly, and then you've got to...
I tried to do that, but
Yeah.
the problem was it was new 52. I was
Yeah,
like,
right.
I can't just read 3 because there's 52 of them.
Yeah.
and I
You don't
didn't
really.
end up
You
doing
could
it.
probably just read Batman and maybe Animal.
But don't,
Man.
because
Yeah.
they rebooted it again, so
Yeah,
don't
who
worry about
cares?
it.
Forget
It's
about it.
rebirth now, they
Yeah.
rebooted it.
So what do you do then when they reboot stuff? Do you get like...
I pick and choose what I hear is good or what I'm interested in. That's
Right.
pretty much it. And I drop off stuff a lot and come back and
See, that's what I struggle
Yeah.
with. Yeah, whenever I try to get into something, I'm like, I got to start from the start and do all of it, whether I like it or not.
yeah, right, yeah.
I'm more inclined to follow maybe particular writers.
Okay.
So
Okay,
if
yeah.
they do if they're like, oh, you've got to read the Warren Ellis run on Moon Knight, I'll read that, and then
Right.
if it series continues to grab me after that, I'll keep going. But otherwise, I'll just jump to whatever his next project is, kind of thing. So,
Okay. That's a good way to do it.
yeah.
That's
But
rad.
you'll never get it all.
No, don't even
Never.
bother.
I think that's what has always been an issue for
Yeah.
big,
It's like seeing all movies. It's like playing all video games.
completely.
It's not.
But that's what I try to do, and it's stupid. It's such a.
Why
It's,
you watch Stranger Things?
oh my god, it's so stressful. You end up fucking watching so much shit you hate.
Yeah. So I let so much stuff go. I'm just
Yeah.
like, forget it. I don't, if something's not amazing,
I mean, not on
or
a
I'm-
personal level.
No,
You don't let
not on a
anything
personal
go
level.
on a
No,
personal
no,
level.
I'll hold a grudge to the day that person dies.
You see, I never hold grudges, so maybe I need to flip these two things
Yeah,
around.
right. Absolutely.
Potentially,
Yeah.
Live a better life.
Yeah. I mean, you'll probably live a shorter life with holding grudges. But
My first grudge will be against the pair of you for getting me really into comic books. And like, now I have no time. I'm reading them all.
letters?
Oh yeah, let's do some letters. We have a letters theme. I have
Nice.
to load it up on my phone. It's the whole thing.
Classic one was letters, oh letters, we love you. Some letters.
It's weird how we have to sit here, isn't it? I didn't realize it's weird until you have to sit here with another
Over
person.
here right now, we're gonna do letters.
I shouldn't talk.
It does sound like you're saying lettuce. I've seen people say that it's
it's
Yeah.
occurred to us now. A lot of
does.
people on the Planet Broadcasting Facebook group, Planet Broadcasting Great Mates. If you listen to this, you want to have a chat with some mates about
You're on
any of
there?
the Planet
I
Broadcasting
am.
shows.
man.
A bunch of really fucking nice people
Yeah,
in there.
It's nice,
crazy,
isn't
yeah.
it?
as well. Yeah.
It's a breath of fresh air. I think it's because there's that barrier of you have to like be
Use your real
you have
name?
To, you have to use your and you have to ask like to join. You can't just come in and be like "fuck you all." And
Yeah.
I mean, you can probably still do that. I'm sure, but yeah.
Somebody do it this week.
Oh no, we're gonna get.
I'm going to get in there right now.
Yeah. Mason, do you want to read a letter or do you want me to read a
If
tweet?
you could read a tweet very
Okay.
quickly, because I don't have
Hashtag
a letter.
Weekly Planet Pod if you want to reach the show. This is from Nate. You've seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yes.
Okay, I knew that, but I just want to double check. This is a spoiler for Thor Ragnarok if you're listening, so skip ahead the amount of time that we talk about this. Do you think that Loki grabbed that gem, the Tesseract in the end? So remember, Loki goes down to the
Yeah.
vault. There's a Tesseract in there, and then you don't see him grab it, and then Asgard explodes.
But he has a little moment. He sees it and he
Yeah.
has a moment of pause
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I heard a theory that it had already been swapped out for something else.
Oh, yeah, it's
and they
possible,
already
yeah.
said that stuff of everything's in there, everything that's in there is fake anyway.
Yeah.
Or 90% of
Some-
it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then they said that the implication for that for Infinity War would be that he betrays everybody, gives it
Yeah.
to Thanos, and then it doesn't work because it's not the real one.
Yeah, right,
So
yeah.
that's what ends up getting him in the end.
That's interesting, because that would be an interesting twist if at the end of Infinity War, he just has an Infinity Gauntlet that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because in the Infinity Gauntlet, the comic book series from the 90s, he assembles it and he just kills everyone, like in the universe.
Yeah.
So
That's fun.
that'd be, I mean, and I guess people are, some of the appeal of this is people go, well, I know exactly how this is going to go. He's going to assemble the thing, and then he's going to fight it, and then he's going to break Captain America's shield, and then this
Yeah.
is going to happen, and then another character from, is going to show up, and blah, blah, blah. So it'd be interesting. That would be a pretty bold move, and I would like that if they...
To undercut it a little bit
yeah,
like
a little
that.
bit, yeah.
Anyway, they probably won't.
They probably won't. That's
I
absolutely...
mean, maybe.
Yeah.
They twist and turn. a
I
little
feel
bit.
like this
Yeah. has
has happened with other stuff before. They're going like, no, but actually, here's
Yeah.
what's going on. And then it's like, oh, no, he just did
It's the
pick it
most
up and it
obvious
was the
thing.
real thing. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see, won't we, in 6 months or whatever it is, and that one's...
Well, we probably won't, though, because it'll be another 6 until... Because it's not Infinity War Part 2 anymore, but it basically is.
But the Infinity War trailer, which has been leaked, at the start of it, Thor's flying through space, like he's been shot out into space. So,
Yeah.
And that ship's been taken. And if
Yeah.
Loki's on there with the...
I guess
it'll
Loki
be
wasn't
revealed
there.
pretty...
Yeah, okay.
It'll be revealed
That'll
quickly.
happen
Yeah.
in that movie. Yeah, okay.
I'd imagine. I don't know. We'll find out in 6 months or 12 months, whatever it is.
I don't have a letter yet. Could you
Could
you continue?
Fine, I'll continue to pad and just carry the show, Mason. Jesus.
Great, sounds good.
So Matt Allen.
I'll take it.
If you guys could do more coverage of Battlefront 2, if you guys do more coverage of Battlefront 2, could you talk about the whole loot crate mess that EA Star Wars is pushing on us? So for the beta, they made it so loot crates were ridiculously hard to get. And the stuff in that, like if you were leveling up naturally, it would be, you'd be doing it forever.
A lot of them would do this with like, no, you could technically get it without spending $1 if you have 600 hours.
Yeah.
But, and the problem with Battlefront 2 in particular is that a lot of what you get out of those loot crates are things that you can use in matches to be better.
Yes.
Essentially. And then EA have said pretty bluntly, no, that's not the case. And then people who have played the game and seen stuff have gone, yes, it is the case.
I saw an article about a guy who spent $90 and just got everything in a matter of a few hours.
Yeah.
So you can technically still do it. I mean, I'd imagine there's not going to be that many people that do that, but there'd be enough that would ruin the game initially. But I find whenever I drop in a game anyway, I'm still not good enough. If like it wouldn't matter for me. I'm not even going to play it. I don't actually care, but it is annoying. I'd imagine it'd be really annoying. Yeah.
I just don't like the
nickel and
concept of
diming
it.
and
and that's the problem. They're trying to like the whole system with this is they're not looking for people to spend 20 cents a day or whatever. They're looking for whales. They call them fucking whales.
Like the same way casinos do. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's so manipulative and gross as a concept to have literally a gambling system. That is what it is.
Yep.
You're paying money to get an uncertain result.
Yes.
It's gambling.
That's exactly right.
So
I like that if you're good enough, then you get the good gun. Like,
sure.
That's what I like.
Yeah. Or like I this is just personal taste, but I like things. The old days are like Quake and stuff where it's just there and you run and grab it.
Right,
if
yeah,
you can,
absolutely.
You know?
Well, you can't monetize that.
No.
I heard in the new Call of Duty, like, you open your loot crates in front of people on Normandy Beach.
Yeah.
So, like, in front of other players.
Yeah, right.
They fly down out of the sky and land, and there's like, you get experience if you watch other people open their fucking presents on Christmas Day.
It's the saddest thing I've ever
While you're sitting there
That's
eating gruel.
unpleasant.
Yeah.
And it's so weird, man. Like the fucking on Normandy Beach.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And I know there's, like, because I know you were talking about the Holocaust and how they didn't touch on it in the previous
You won't
game.
stop talking about the Holocaust. Come on, man.
This is before we were recording,
They like danced around it. I'm glad they didn't touch upon it. I think you could probably make a game.
But they do touch upon it in the campaign.
They do.
But in a very blank way
Yeah.
that almost feels like it's worse than if they'd have gone for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a prison camp, I guess. It's not a proper, but it's a part of the thing, and people were taken there because they were Jewish in the game.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
not just
yeah.
saying in history. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But yeah, it's the whole tone of trying to mix historical World War II shit, which they realized, which is why they took the swastikas out of the multiplayer and have kind of and it affects it in Call of Duty in a gameplay way where all of the collectible stuff is American soldier stuff,
Right,
because you can't have people collecting Nazi helmets.
Yeah.
And so then there's Nazis wearing American helmets and you can't tell who's on your team and not. Anyway.
Right.
The whole thing is a mess, but I think will go away because it'll either be legislated at some point because people will realize it's gambling that's accessible to minors, which is the biggest problem about it.
Absolutely,
It is morally fucking gross.
It really is, yeah.
But
they don't have to put a gambling warning on the box, right?
But they
Yeah.
do
No.
if you've got
If
a
you've got a
slot
slot machine in the
whatever.
game, yeah.
There's an MP in England, apparently, or in the UK, I should say, who is bringing it in front of somebody.
Great.
It's not just anybody.
The Queen!
So I don't know. It seems like. Do you remember online passes like 5-6 years ago?
Right.
Just brief ways of trying to monetize games in more and more ways. Because Battlefront 2 has that. Does it have a season pass this time, or is it free rolling out?
I couldn't
don't
tell you.
remember
Yeah,
either.
I know they stripped back on what they. It might be free DLC, I think, because they did that last time, but that because it wasn't a finished game. But this time, I think it's. I don't think so.
Call of Duty definitely does, for example.
Yeah,
So-
I don't mind paying. I've never done a season pass. I never would. I'm not paying for something that they haven't made. But I don't mind if that, like for Uncharted, they release that expansion.
Yeah.
And I bought it because it's just. Here's another 6 hours.
Or if after it's all out and it's good, they do a Game of the Year edition or whatever.
Fine. Yeah, but I'm not paying for something that's. They also might not release potentially. So.
It very rarely
Yeah.
happens, but it can do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so built into the model of it now because they can't increase the price of games. That's where it's all coming from, is that it's very difficult for them to go like, okay, games are expensive to make and they're $90 now. You can't
Yeah, right.
you can't get them for 60 anymore. US this is.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they are here. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the time they come out for around 62 or 4 or something. And it's difficult for them to up that price, so they've been trying to find other ways to make revenue, which is fair enough, but a gambling system is just a real shady fucking way to do it.
Yeah.
And to make it even more manipulative to people's brains, manipulative.
You've said something wrong on the podcast for the first time ever.
I'm the
Shame on
only
you.
dumb thing that's ever happened
That's
here.
right.
It's just very deliberately trying to push parts of your brain that they know will work because casinos have already done this for years.
Yeah,
right.
It's really shitty and,
Yeah.
and just feels grotty.
Yeah, it reminds me of those like ticket arcade places they had. Remember when arcades, when we were kids, just all of a sudden they were just all gambling all of a sudden?
Yeah.
They did,
Well, like in Japan now, it's all
Yeah.
it's all shifted over. Konami doesn't make video games anymore. They make pachinko fucking things because there's a lot more money in gambling.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Than there is in making art.
Yeah.
I mean, Steven Spielberg doesn't think it's art, but I think so.
Well, he's right.
He's right about Battlefront 2, probably.
Probably, yeah, in this specific case. Yeah, I don't know. Thoughts, Mason? No good?
I'm against it.
Okay.
Just video games as a concept. No good.
They've gone too far.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of them. We don't need them.
It's too many. It's too many.
Replace them with the old. Remember how kids used to push hoops down the street with a
Yeah,
stick?
like a good old hoop pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
my,
right.
my friend Hoops, we used to push him down the street.
Right.
He was a jerk.
Yeah.
Is he okay?
Nah, well, he sideways rolled out of the way. most of the
Oh,
time.
good. He learned.
Sciatica. He's got sciatica.
Oh, cool. Excellent. Yeah.
Real crooked.
Got that
I
bloody
got a
letter?
letter. Yeah, this is from Marcus Shaw.
Yep.
First time writing in. With Thor, the third Thor being more of a comedy and doing well, what superhero movies could benefit from being a comedy, and what movies should 100% not be funny in any way? And I think maybe a follow-up question to that would be, who do you trust as a director to make a superhero movie that is funny? Like I trust Taika Waititi now.
Totally, yeah.
But
He's a funny man.
I would have said that I would like to see that sort of James Franco-y crew make a superhero movie, but they did. Seth Rogen was in Green Hornet.
Green Hornet,
and
yeah.
that was
Yeah,
no
absolutely
good.
did,
Yeah.
I don't think James Franco was it. Is that more of a Seth Rogen?
Or that I think
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
mainly Seth Rogen.
that
But,
vibe,
that sort of.
that's,
Yeah, I think that could be something that could work. Yeah. Well, he's doing a lot of because he's doing Preacher and a few other things that he's kind of producing and having a hand in. But
What was good about Thor as well is that it wasn't that sort of comedy that's very easy to do, I think, with superhero movies of going like, here's what a superhero would normally do.
Yeah,
but
right.
this time when they try to fly, they fall on the ground.
Yeah, right.
Thor was a full-on superhero movie,
Yeah.
but had jokes in it.
like
Yeah.
weird exchanges and looks and
Yeah, and just really good. Like there are a couple of silly like when he throws the ball against the window thing.
Yeah.
but it was actually
yeah.
funny.
There were a couple. There was more than a few of those. I can't remember what it's called, but where there's no way I'd get on the plane, and then cut to they're on the plane kind
Yeah.
of thing. It was like there's no way we're going to do that strategy. Oh, we're doing the strategy. But
Yeah.
it's fun.
like
Yeah.
the get help.
Get
thing.
help. Yeah, right. Mhm.
I didn't really buy into Deadpool. I didn't like.
Yeah, I
that
wasn't a
very
huge
much.
fan. I mean, I get why people got it, but just a guy being like, "Isn't this weird?" And superheroes.
Yeah.
Look, I'm doing a superhero landing.
Oh,
or whatever,
totally.
yeah.
90 minutes of someone looking into the camera lens going, I'm looking into the camera lens. Can you believe I'm aware of this?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to clunk in the second one where people. Yeah, but mate, I mean, I doubted that the first one would be good. I was
Yeah.
like, Fox will fuck this up definitely, but obviously not.
I think it'll be another layer of meta something because
two
because
layers.
we've got cable coming in as the
You hire somebody in every theater that it's playing in to dress up as Deadpool and burst through the screen at some point.
so good.
Go up and shake everyone in the face. Go, I'm real, but not.
yeah, nice.
Look at my balls. He has to say that.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you couldn't do like your classic like V for Vendetta, Watchmen. I think you can't. You could do like little kind of wry jokes, but anything, even like the killing joke, you couldn't make that into a comedy where Batman shoots a woman through the spine.
Even though it's got joke in the
It's
title.
got so much
it's
jokes
weird.
in it. But like you could do it, like even the Punisher, I think could work as a dark comedy, which is kind of what Punisher Warzone is.
Yeah.
like it is kind of funny how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Marvel tends to strike a pretty good balance.
I think so.
a lot of the time.
And I think, the whole concept is inherently kind of ridiculous. And if you don't lean into that at least a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You either go in the Dark Knight direction where you're like, we pull it back and make it so this could maybe happen, or you push it far enough that it starts having to be funny. Full-on comedies, though, I don't think you need to do a full-on comedy, and I don't think there's no point in doing a superhero movie as a full-on, this is only about comedy, because there's more interesting stuff you can do with it, you know?
I think if you did something like a Sex Criminals, like an Invincible Sex Criminals, which you're going to be reading. But no, like you take a comedic comic book and then maybe that would probably make a funny movie.
Oh,
potentially.
sure, yeah.
There you go. There's a novel idea. I think we're going to be getting a lot more of that, like lesser known comic books. It's going to be less capes and hammers and shields and more kind of like, there's a weird story that people like. I think we're going to be getting a lot of that, especially because Netflix now has Miller World and they like TV shows are more kind of going more obscure. Like, and I think we're going to get some weirder stuff.
Miller World created Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
So if you do or do not care for those, there's going to be more of them.
Did not care for them.
Yeah, okay, right.
Settle in.
I'm imagining that's fairly common.
As a completionist, you're going to be in the last drive.
Kick-Ass 9!
It's all right. Mark Miller, who created that, also created a lot of stuff that is very good.
Yeah.
So he's a real scattershot guy.
I am totally on board with that thing of getting very weird concepts to show up more, because there's been a lot of the problem with this whole thing of everyone trying to create their universe and trying to create their fucking next franchise is that you have to start with the vanilla one a little bit. Like you can't have the weird one. If Doctor Strange had been the first, but Doctor Strange was pretty vanilla. But
I get what you mean though.
You have to.
You can't start with Spawn.
Put your blandest foot forward. Yeah, exactly. So
which they are doing again, but what a world. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Mate, because Knox is going to walk back to the station in the heat, so we'll give you a lift. It's fine.
It is a very warm day here in Melbourne.
I would have picked you up. You should have called me, but anyway, it doesn't.
I make my own way in the world.
Thanks for coming along,
Yeah,
Adam
man.
Knox.
Hey, no,
plug some stuff.
what are you plugging?
What are you all about?
Have a listen to Filthy Casuals if you like video games, or even if not, we try to make it so that it's
very accessible.
hopefully
Many tangent.
Yeah. You should. I should point out it's Filthy Casuals with Tommy Dasilo, Ben Vanel, and Adam Knox, because there's about 9,000 other podcasts.
But you've crushed them all.
But I also think if you put that search term into iTunes, I think you guys are the most active. So I think you're towards the top.
Oh, well, that's
I think you're
good.
You'd be the
top
most
now.
popular, I would say.
I hope so.
I'm just going to send some abusive emails to the other ones. So. The top result on Google is your website. So
Is that not because you've searched it before, though?
I would definitely not have. Potentially, yeah.
So yeah, I do that. Have a listen to that. That's on
Right,
Planet
great stuff.
Broadcasting.
A lot of fun.
We're doing a live show in Sydney on the 16th of December.
Come along, Mason.
Okay, I will.
You're going to see Star Wars up there?
I think we're planning to the night before.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And you also, Chimp Cop, obviously. But that's
that'll be,
road.
if you're around in the comedy festival, I'll be doing lots of stuff for that. But, comedy happens all year round.
Sure
Sure
it
does.
does.
And if you see Adam Knox on a bill, just go to the bloody show.
Yeah.
Because he's a good comedian, in my opinion.
Thanks,
I'm saying
mate.
it to your face and on record. Don't do anything bad in
I've
the
heard
next
you've been
few
saying
months.
this behind my back.
That's right.
Glad you finally have the
You
balls.
dog. You want to wrap it up then?
Yeah, all right. Let's see if you want to say hi to us. You can go to Weekly Planet Pod on Facebook and Gmail and Twitter and Bandcamp. I'm at Wikipedia Brown on Twitter.
I'm Mr. Sunday Movies.
Where are you, Knox? Is it Adam G Knox? Is that you?
Yeah, I'm Adam G Knox on Twitter. Filthycasuals.com.au is the easiest place to
There
go
you
for
go.
us.
Tell
so we
him
don't
your-
have to say those 5 things every time.
Nah, we like to say them.
Tell us your
We
favorite
love
bloody
it.
Star Wars
It's
game.
not that it's just occurred to us now that we wouldn't have to say it. Oh, no. PlanetBcasting.com.
Yeah.
That's us.
Tell us your favorite bloody Star Wars game, or least favorite if you want. Take us all in the
Yep.
bloody thing.
Yeah, fine. Tell us one we missed, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we didn't miss any.
Nah,
If we did.
unlikely.
And thanks very much for having me on as well.
Anytime,
We've
man.
had fun.
Joy.
Yeah, well, not next week, but this is actually the last. This is the last time we're recording here because as you know, my house.
Knox is going to burn the place down.
Yeah,
right.
that's what I do.
Eat some asbestos, red house down.
I'm impervious to it.
Yeah.
Let's see, if you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/Mr. Sunday Moves if you want to chuck in a buck. I spat on the microphone.
I saw you, yeah.
It's all right. We're burning it all down, so it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
that's fine. No, we're keeping the mics.
There's an
They're the
Amazon
first
affiliate
thing.
link. in
Well,
our
how do you
episode
think I'm going to
description.
start the fire?
Yeah, that's
Just
right.
rub them together.
Yeah, this is red. It's for fire.
Oh.
Amazon affiliate link in our episode description. Just
Yep.
click on that if you want to buy some weird stuff on Amazon. We get a kickback somehow.
Caravan of Garbage this week is a really bad Superman game on Tuesday. Check it out.
no.
Yeah.
A bad Superman
I
game?
know.
Weird,
How'd
right?
you find it?
Tease on
else?
TeePublic.
Yep.
Thank you to the Brute and the Basilisk and Rackham for all our themes. Thank you to everybody who listens.
Yeah.
It's wild every time.
Yeah.
Just talking to people who listen. It's
We
crazy.
do talk to people who listen.
Yeah.
Also, I might be going on Filthy Casuals next week? Not this week, next week, maybe.
I think the week after,
22nd,
right?
was
The
that
20.
the week?
Well,
Yeah.
we're recording on the 22nd.
It comes out on the 22nd.
If you can
everybody.
find us on the 22nd, you can come and be on it too. Please don't try and find us.
Yeah. That's it. Is that else?
That's
Is that
everything,
all?
I think,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Excellent. Yeah, that's the show. Thanks for listening.
I say, and again, it's weird that there's somebody else in the room because it doesn't occur to me
How strange this
how
is going to
strange
seem.
it is, but I say grab that gem. That's a thing that I say.
I'm aware of
I'm going to
this.
say
Yeah.
it now. I'm going to say
I
grab that gem,
never
you
say
guys.
it.
We'll see you next
You
week.
do not need to feel self-conscious around me. Grab
you.
that gem whenever you like.
Oh, thank you.
Stop grabbing your gems, Mason.
Nah, I won't.
You weirdo. This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.